children, fiancés, and siblings would be exempt from the ban, while grandparents and other family members traveling from Iran, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, Syria, and Yemen would be barred. Trump said the measure was necessary to prevent attacks. However, opponents, including states and refugee advocacy groups, sued to stop it, disputing its security rationale and saying it discriminated against Muslims. A Honolulu judge this week rejected Hawaii's request to clarify the Supreme Court ruling and narrow the government's implementation of the ban. Hawaii appealed to the 9th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals, saying in a filing on Friday that the appeals court has the power to narrow the travel ban while it decides how to interpret the Supreme Court's ruling. A 3-judge panel of the 9th U.S. Circuit on Friday rejected that argument and said it did not have jurisdiction to hear the appeal. The 9th U.S. Circuit said the Honolulu judge could issue an injunction against the government in the future if he believed it misapplied the Supreme Court's ruling to a particular person harmed by the travel ban. But the appeals court said the judge did not have the authority to simply clarify the Supreme Court's instructions now. In a statement, Hawaii Attorney General Douglas Chin said he appreciated that the 9th U.S. Circuit made the ruling so quickly and that the state will comply. The Department of Justice declined comment. Lawyers for the DOJ have argued that its definition of close family hews closely to language found in U.S. immigration law, while Hawaii's Attorney General's office said other parts of immigration law include grandparents in that group. The rollout of the narrowed version of the ban was more subdued last week than in January when Trump first signed a more expansive version of the order that sparked protest and chaos at airports around the country and the world.
You can support FPP Radio by joining the Fans program. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com.
This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
From the day an ancient cave dweller painted yet another elk hunt on a wall in 15,000 BC, to Gary Marshall's 1974 discovery of 13 weather-beaten North Dakotan coal miners that would go on to become the cast of Happy Days, The Onion looks back at This Week in History. On June 17, 1954, the effects of the previous month's historic Supreme Court ruling in Brown versus the Board of Education provided black students with the educational opportunity of experiencing racism firsthand in desegregated schools. Up until that point, African American pupils could only endure racial slurs and death threats in city streets or near their homes. And on June 24, 1784, 13-year-old Edward Warren took the first hot air balloon flight, becoming the first American to urinate on a crowd from 100 feet in the air. And that was what happened this week in history.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
Hey, it's Free Talk Live, the live Saturday edition of the program. You can bring up anything that you want. Right here, the toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, like freedom, 855-450-3733. With you in the studio tonight, it's Ian. Oh, sorry, Mark. Let me try turning on your microphone. That
Here I am.
That's always a good idea. So, yeah, here we are, and it is live on Saturday night, as we always are, 7 nights a week. Of course, you can bring up anything you want. That's the point of the show. But we're actually going to start out with a special guest here tonight. Longtime listeners of the program may remember Christopher Gronsky, who has been on with us, I think, from a couple of Pork Fests, at least, the Porcupine Freedom Festival that we have broadcast from in the past. And he is with us tonight from his home in New Hampshire. Hello, Chris.
Hi, how are you? Hello, Ian. Hello, Mark.
Hey, great to have you back on the program. What brought you back on my radar was our Wednesday night co-host, Jay Noon, who is, just a newer mover up here to New Hampshire, but we've known him for a long time. Great activist. He went, for longtime listeners may recall this, Jay was really known for challenging the property tax system down in Massachusetts, even putting up his own house on the line to experiment, basically, and see if he could, not pay property taxes and keep the house. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. But we went down there to help defend his house from being stolen when the cops were supposed to come, and they didn't come on that day when a group of people were occupying his front yard. They waited 6 months and came and got him out of the house at like 6 in the morning or 4 in the morning, unannounced at some later point. But anyway, he's now living in New Hampshire, as many people have migrated here for more freedom in the ongoing New Hampshire freedom migration. You've lived here a long time, Chris. What's your history with New Hampshire?
I moved in to New Hampshire in 1987. Came up a friend that I had met in Orlando was from Portsmouth, and I was out in Iowa for a short time and was going to return back to Florida. And he said, "Hey, have you ever been to New Hampshire?" And it was that idea that there. I know there were these smaller states up in the Northeast, but I don't know much about them.
Yeah.
So coming into New Hampshire was September 1st of '87, and I had gotten married, and we have a couple of children. They're here.
And you stuck it out. You love it up here.
I love New Hampshire. I mean, I'm from Orlando, and
yep, we're from Florida too.
I can't. I just think it's the best, and in geographically, I love the politics and the sentiment in New Hampshire. I love how small it is. I love all that about it. And,
a lot of people think that New Hampshire is like the rest of New England, which is to say just liberal as it could possibly be. I mean, you're right next door to Boston. What do you want, right? But those people are, well, sadly mistaken.
Yeah,
they're mistaken completely.
It's a real gem.
Sadly.
It's a real gem, and we
think so.
we talk a lot about the reasons why New Hampshire is already the most free place, and of course, it's got this wonderful freedom migration of people who are libertarians and voluntarists and liberty-loving people who are coming here, and that's how we ended up meeting you. In fact, you love New Hampshire so much, you've decided that it's your country, right?
Right. I think some of the first things that when they were voting on New Hampshire being the free state, we were part of voting for that. And because we were here, I certainly was choosing New Hampshire, not because I was here and I just liked it that much. And eventually, because I feel strongly about that these states in America are countries, and as the Declaration of Independence declares them to be.
Yeah, they're not called states for nothing. A state is a word for an autonomous organization that claims monopoly privilege over the use of violence in a given landmass. A federation is a group of states, and that's the federal government of the United States of America. They only have 4 quantified powers given to them by the Constitution.
Right, and the thing that's cool is. When I talk about this subject in our class, people easily understand that Italy isn't Germany and that there are states, there are United States of Europe, and they would look at the European Union and they would not confuse that the European Union was Italy and all that those states had created that entity and that it's screwed up as any other central government would be, and that they're having problems and it's collapsing. And that's very clear to people. No one confuses that. And the interesting thing about Europe is that those countries, those states have their own passports. They're very separate from each other, and there's a benefit to that. And Americans have been so programmed and federalized into thinking that America is a country. It's not. It's a federation of states. It's not a country, because you wouldn't look and say, well, the country of Europe. It's just. People don't think that way.
Right. The EU is not a country.
It's not a country. Right? So, but that's the way people think. And so they'll hold on to that belief system. And when I talk about that, every state, listen, California is California. It's not New Hampshire. These are separate legislatures. They're separate courts. They're separate executive branches. These are very separate jurisdictions. And we need to practice more of that and make that clear. And I love that about it. And so New Hampshire's my country. We came, I have a bumper sticker on eBay that says New Hampshire's my country.
Yeah, I've got one here that you gave to me.
Yeah, I think that it's interesting that we talk about them being countries, but the federal government's constantly attempting to usurp the power of the states all the time. It's always telling states what they can do and what they can't do.
Right, and most of the time, like in New Hampshire and other places, we have this secession movement. My sentiment is that we don't really need to secede per se, But I don't see secession occurring without responsibility first. If the state isn't going to be able to go it alone without funds from the federal government, then really they're not going to be there. It's like a kid at home. If he can't make it on his own, then he's going to be with mommy and daddy.
Right. So Illinois would be a good example of that, where
Yes.
Illinois is drastically, in financial decline and terrible debt, and they're having real struggles with that, having to increase their income tax. I heard on the radio the other day by 33%, and increase other taxes as well in order to try to make ends meet, which of course is just going to drive more people out of there and drive more of the productive class away. Now, so you're not necessarily in favor of secession, but you are.
I didn't say that.
Okay.
I just said that I don't see it occurring without responsibility first.
Okay, so we got a little ways to go, is what you're saying.
Yeah. Well, I just think that because there's a sentiment, and I don't see, a smaller group or certain people, overcoming whatever the general sentiment of New Hampshire is. I just think there's a lot of PR. When people are tired of it, then that'll happen. And I do see that the way that the federal government always is in these states is they're handing out those quote unquote free dollars that everybody lusts after, and consequently then they get to pick, they get to determine what is happening because they're handing out the cash.
Well, and New Hampshire has had the ability on some issues to rebuff the federal government, like for instance the seatbelt law. We don't have one for adults here in New Hampshire, and that means that the New Hampshire state government has turned down the federal government's offers of bribery on that, of giving
millions
away
of dollars.
Yeah. Right.
Now, this is one of the things that the federal government, this is the tricky thing that they'll do, is they won't mandate that states do things. In many cases they do, but I mean in some cases they won't mandate that states do things. They'll just offer a bunch of money if they do.
Exactly.
So, I mean, the drinking age in the United States is basically 21, and the reason is because the federal government decided to hand out a whole bunch of money if you changed it.
Right. So that destroys the sovereignty of the idea of the state. Now, as individual, lovers of individual liberty, we don't necessarily believe that the state should exist, but as long as people believe in the state, there's some real value in the idea of having the state be supreme over the federal government, right?
Well, I think the best thing for our state is to protect us from that monster that comes out of D.C. And if they were serious about it, like for example, I recognize that that legislative resolutions are masturbatory in nature. They feel good, but they produce nothing. Unless the resolution will say, and therefore, if the feds step into the state, we will prosecute, we will blah, blah, blah. That's going to have something with teeth that will have an impact. But as long as, the legislature is saying, we're separate, but please give us the money, that's not quite separate from that jurisdiction.
Yep. It's like a kid wanting the keys to the car. I
want to continue here, Chris. Hang on. We're going to bring you back. You're from, by the way, your website, destinationfreedom.org. And I want to talk about the idea of a state citizen. What is that? Is a citizen something that really even exists? Because we've talked about the idea of the citizen before here, and the suggestion is that maybe there is no such thing. So I want to get your opinion on all that coming up here. Christopher Gronsky is with us. This is Free Talk Live's Live Saturday edition.
Ew, get the stinky dog away from me. Bad breath and bad gas. Petey stopped eating. All his hair fell out.
Itching, licking, missing fur.
At least $5,000 in vet bill. Creams, antibiotics, sprays.
No results.
Everything we tried failed except the Dinovite. DINOVITE.com.
If you want the dog to be healthy, you got to feed it something healthy.
The omega-3 fatty acids. Flaxseed, zinc, alfalfa. The digestive enzymes that are cooked out of regular dog food.
Dinovite is nutrition.
The shedding is stopped and the itching is stopped.
Her coat is now soft, it's silky, it's healthy and shiny and glossy.
She's got life, she's got energy.
Tons of energy, no more bad smell.
Dinovite's the bomb.
Dinovite is the best thing that's ever happened to my dogs, besides me, of course.
859-428-1000.
859-428-1000.
Dinovite for life.
DINOVITE.com.
Hi there, I'm Bob Eubanks. As part of Hollywood for a long time, I've seen my fair share of celebrities get in trouble with the IRS. Well, there's one name I trust, the Tax Defense Group. They're the most trusted name in tax. So if you owe more than $10,000 to the IRS, you really need to call my friends at the Tax Defense Group. Ignoring the IRS is not the solution. They can garnish your paycheck, levy your bank accounts, seize your home or business. But the Tax Defense Group could put a stop to all of that and tailor a program that would reduce your tax debt to pennies on the dollar. You gotta love that. So don't just take my word for it. Call them. Find out for yourself. They offer a 100% satisfaction guarantee, and they're open 24 hours a day because they know that tax debt doesn't sleep either.
Call now for your free and confidential tax analysis from the most trusted name in tax. Call 800-361-6907. 800-361-6907.
Are you a sneezer? If you're not, can you get close to one? I don't literally mean someone sneezing. Sneezer, as defined by marketing guru Seth Godin, is an opinion leader. When a sneezer mentions something, other people catch what Godin calls the idea virus. Seth Godin says some people are more likely to tell their friends about a great new idea. So identifying and courting sneezers is a key success factor for idea merchants. His book, Unleashing the Idea Virus, is the most downloaded ebook in history, and you can download the whole book free. That's how he's making his idea contagious. Click tips, tricks, and other stuff to help you cut through the clutter at www.survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media, and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
It is Free Talk Live, and you can dial on in toll-free and join us here if you've got a question for Christopher Gronsky from DestinationFreedom.org. He's with us here tonight talking about what is a state citizen? That's what I want to get into coming up here in a moment, because I don't know if I believe in the whole idea of citizenship to begin with, given that a citizen is somebody who owes a duty of allegiance in return for an obligation of protection from the government. And
now that's Black's Law Dictionary there.
It's pretty much any dictionary if you look up the definition of citizen. So I want to get into, what does that really mean, and does the government even have an obligation to protect you? And if they don't, then could there even be such a thing as a citizen? We'll get into that with Chris here in a moment, but I also want to let you know about Bitcoin.com. If you've heard about Bitcoin and the amazing success story that is Bitcoin, this incredible decentralized cryptocurrency that's distributed all around the globe, impossible to shut down by the government. You want to learn more about it, you go to Bitcoin.com. Great place to start learning about what Bitcoin is. And if you already know what Bitcoin's all about and you're into it, then Bitcoin.com is a great place to go to learn what's going on with the Bitcoin world, like with their news site over at news.bitcoin.com. You can even play games with your Bitcoin, and there's also a forum that allows you to get interactive with other Bitcoin fans over at bitcoin.com. It's a one-stop shop for everything you need to get into Bitcoin life. Again, that's bitcoin.com. As we go back to Christopher Gronsky, he's with us from New Hampshire, where we are also located, and Chris, it was Jay Noon, who's one of our co-hosts, who was talking really excitedly about some of the online classes that you've been doing over at DestinationFreedom.org. He's a big fan of yours, and Jay's the kind of guy who's always looking at some sort of like courtroom conspiracy, magic words to be able to utter in court. How do you feel about some of that stuff? Let's say the sovereign citizen movement and these courtroom magic words. What do you think about some of that?
Well, Jay's an awesome guy.
He's awesome,
a great guy to hang out with, and I'm thankful for anything kind he says about anything we're doing.
And what's great, before you go on, what's great about Jay is he's willing to actually put these somewhat ridiculous sounding theories into action and try them out, whereas most people just go around spreading them as though they're the truth. Jay's actually tried it out, and I got to give him a lot of credit for that. Anyway.
Sure. I talk to people from all over the world on the phone. I mean, I've been doing some of this stuff for 20 years of just discussing with people. And, you see things on YouTube and you talk to people about all kinds of different things and remedies that work and don't work. And people are really hungry for things that work.
They want to get free. They want to get out from under the thumb of the oppressive state. You can't blame them.
Right, and I am not a believer in magical paperwork. I am talking people out of it that if you have an unjust judge or unjust court, your magical paperwork they're not gonna come in and say like, oh, I didn't realize who you were. Now that your magical paperwork,
you got me.
Because it almost makes it like as if these people are honorable, and they have these secrets in which they're violating people, and then when you come along and you're in the club, then all of a sudden they're really good people. So the thing that's a problem with that is that it can't be fraud on one side, but if I'm in on it, and then it's no longer fraud. It's just nonsensical. The thing is that a lot of people do not know how their government works. They don't know that the courts are completely controlled by the legislature, if the legislature has knowledge and the balls to ratchet down and pull back the courts. So I'm not a believer in magical paperwork. The other thing is that there are people who will cite statute and this and that and all that stuff. The purpose of statute is to tie down governments and corporations. End of story, full stop. So I always tell people, if you're going to study something, the most important thing to study is concepts of liberty and freedom, because just governments, and there's a lot of governments that are not just, but just governments are by the consent of the people.
That's what they say in their founding documents, right?
Yeah, they do. And so what happens is that when I look at the government, I see those representatives, and they are, and I think they do a poor job, but they're in control of the government. But what happens in reality is that the government's its own thing, and it's there day in and day out, and the politicians come and go. And so consequently, this machine is running, and the politicians aren't knowledgeable enough or have the balls enough to interrupt it and say, listen, this is violating the people. Because they don't even know what rights are, so they don't even know what's violating the people.
Yeah, it's a lot like blaming the bull. It's like blaming the bull rider for what the bull does. And
correct.
The bull does what the bull does, and the rider's on it for 8 seconds. They hardly count.
And the thing is, with respect to the citizen, is that now. Like you're looking up the statute or Black's Law and all that, that's fine. And if that definition will limit government, that's fine too. At no time ever, by words or meanings or anything that a collective of people or another man can make or create that's going to be superior to you. End of story, full stop. Whether we understand it or not, the principle is no one's above you. The purpose of government, as it says in the Declaration of Independence, which is wonderful, it says that, and I want to, when it talks about, my class, we spend a lot of time in the Declaration of Independence because it's so packed full of principle. But it says that it talks about that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent governed.
Yeah.
So the only purpose of government is to secure rights. End of story, full stop.
Well, right, because how could the government acquire any more rights than those, of the people who have put it together? Like, people put the government on this pedestal.
Legitimately. Yeah. Like, you can get rights over a person.
Well, they don't have rights. They're delegated power.
Right.
The people are the principal, and these people are our representatives, poorly representing us. But look, if the people don't even know what proper representation should look like, then how will they really know how to behave? And if the reps think they're leaders, then they're going to pretend or try to be leaders, in which they're none of that. It's the ignorant. Everyone's ignorant, and so therefore we're all being violated by the mass collective ignorance. So that's why I try to help people to understand, listen, you're free first. Then from there, well, let's go out and check it out. For example, someone will say to me, they'll say, well, the treaty of, 1500 or 1700s and blah, blah, blah. They say, are you aware of that? I'll say, well, look, first of all, I don't know which treaty you're talking about. Let me just say this. Did you read that treaty?
Did you sign it?
Right. Did they sign? Well, right. Yes or no. So you're saying that dead men, that somehow, that these dead men that made some agreement, justifiably or not, is going to have some effect on you. I said, listen, if that treaty secures rights, well, great. That's wonderful. We can use it. It'll secure rights. Maybe it'll limit government. If it violates our rights, no effect. Another stupid bunch of people harming other people. No effect at all. It means nothing, has no power, no authority. The fact that we'll allow it to have that, or some government will rely upon it, will only justify their crime. But it doesn't make any difference. We have no obligation to fulfill any contract or agreement that's against our will or without our knowledge. Period. That is the bottom line.
Now, does that include the contracts that the government basically forces you to sign? So, like,
there's no contract. No one can force you to sign a contract.
Well, for instance, if you want to be able to drive around without a man, pointing a gun at your head with a badge and a uniform, usually it helps to have their driver's license. So there feels like there's some coercion.
I agree, and then you would want to deal with it from that standpoint of what's obligated and what's not. Now we're seeing some ground being taken in that, in which we. With people changing their status with the federal government.
Hold that thought. Let's talk about what that means coming up here in moments. Christopher Gronsky is with us. This is Free Talk Live.
Ralph, remember when you said you were going to start paying more attention to your health and now you're eating potato chips?
Just a few.
A few, okay, but you should be eating Superberry's Aronia berries.
Aronia what?
Aronia berries from superberries.com. They're known for having one of the highest levels of antioxidants that helps with overall wellness. Go to superberries.com/radio. And right now we get a free smoothie recipe book with our order. Plus we can save $4 at checkout.
Wow, look at all the benefits of these berries.
I know, Ralph, I know.
Choose health. Eat purple. Superberries.com.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Slingbow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of Slingbow, a new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
Free Talk Live.
There's going to be no food by February.
Oh, that seems a little extreme. I find that hard to believe.
Well, watch it happen. Hope you find Christ.
Oh, good luck, buddy. Thanks.
What really turned me away from religion was the fact that most of them are so intolerant and nasty.
What do you mean?
Your life will suck unless you find Jesus. Well, I had Jesus a long time ago, and he didn't really do anything for me, so I got away from that.
Right, and I can tell you that if you want to have that attitude with people, like, well, you better find Christ, or you're going to burn in hell.
Yeah.
Then
good luck converting people.
Yeah, I really want to hang out with people like you, there, Keith. I really want to hang out with people like you. So I'm sorry to those good Christians out there listening that aren't like Keith. But it's the loudmouths like Keith that do real damage to your religion and how people feel about it.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. You may already know about the Free Talk Live audio-on-demand phone line at 641-793-9660. Did you know that not only can you listen to Free Talk Live via your phone, you can also leave a message and have it delivered to Free Talk Live's hosts? To leave us your thoughts, just dial 641-793-9660. That's 641-793-9660. Press 2 for Free Talk Live, and then hit 0 to leave your message. Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
It's Free Talk Live. You can dial in toll-free and join us on the radio waves. You can bring up whatever is on your mind. 855-450 free like freedom. 855-450-3733. If you want to reach people with the ideas of liberty, you should do it from the back of your car with libertystickers.com. You can reach thousands of people with a bumper sticker, and you know people love to read them. You can check out the vast selection of witty, poignant, pithy, and downright bombastic liberty-oriented messages available at libertystickers.com. That's libertystickers.com. We continue with Christopher Gronsky from destinationfreedom.org. You've been talking for a long time, Christopher, about some really interesting ideas. And what I was telling Mark, what I love about you is you strike at the root. You really get to the heart of the matter between people and the idea of the state, and ultimately leaving as much of it behind as we possibly can. And you've come up with this, or you promote the idea of a state citizen, and you just mentioned changing status. What is a state citizen?
Well, it would be a citizen from a particular geographical state or a location. Certainly, that is a part of a community of people. Now, what what we were talking earlier about the citizen, and they're talking about allegiance and such as that. See, I don't look at government that way. With respect to allegiance, I would look at the situation of citizenship and say, don't worry about what we have allegiance to. These people that swear an oath to uphold the Constitution or that supreme law of that land or the federal or whatever, if they will just do their job, that's enough for them to worry about who's has allegiance to whom and to what. I don't look at government as ever being over the people. That's just. Any government that's over or asserting any sort of power over the people is an unjust government and without their consent. So, and that would be a problem where the collective of people is broken down. But I always look at this thing from a human standpoint. Everyone, all these players are people. They're your neighbors. They're just people that have chosen to function in their community in a certain way. Now, so getting with respect to the two citizens, at least in the United States, is the Article 4, Section 2 of the U.S. Constitution says the citizens of each state shall be entitled to all privileges and immunities of citizens of the several states. Now, the reason that's in the Constitution, now that's not what creates citizens and such as that, because these citizens already existed before the federal government existed. These states were these separate colonies. They were certainly separate countries, and they were very different if people look at the historical differences between the original colonies. Now, the federal government was limited to treat these citizens of these different states the same, and so therefore the obligation to the federal government was that the citizens of each state shall be entitled to all the privileges, whatever benefits the feds are going to put out, and the protections of citizens of the several states. Now, this is a citizen, or that refers to a citizenship that existed 80 years before the 14th Amendment that was allegedly ratified. After the Civil War, that was the first time that the federal government created a citizen.
So just to be clear, you're saying that it was up until the Civil War, the people in the United States at that time were considered to be state citizens, all of them.
All of them. And then the idea was that, and that was based upon habitation and domicile. You could get up and move to another state, and then you could establish your state citizenship there. And there
just
was
like they can in the EU, right? I mean, just pick up and move.
Well, I don't, as much as there is some of that, I don't see that. I see that there, you can't just move into, if you're Dutch, you're not going to just move into Germany. You could travel there. But if you're going to set up citizenship, no, there's going to be a completely different different obligations. Immigration is still within those states, which I'm committed to seeing in the states as well. Which you're actually seeing the state of New York with respect to Trump's immigration and such as that. You're seeing California and you're seeing New York, which has a lot of what they're calling undocumented people that are beyond their stay or whatever. They recognize the economic value of those people in those states, and therefore those states are actually pushing out and changing or acknowledging or having the citizens of their state be different from the federal citizen. And I see once again what that's all about is that once again the federal government does such a poor job of doing anything that the states are bothered and want to do it with, for themselves. And I think it's a good thing because the separation of power is a protection for us, because the more you decentralize power, the safer we'll be.
So the federal government has in the Constitution the power that they have granted themselves. A whole bunch of dead men got together and voted on some stuff and said, this is the new set of rules. We're doing away with the old set of rules, and these are the new rules. And in those rules, they said, now, mind you, none of us here are under the false pretenses that they follow these rules in Washington, D.C. But they do reference them, especially when they're convenient to them, right? So one of the enumerated powers of the Constitution is naturalization.
Actually, it's very small. Naturalization is that there'll be a uniform rule. That's the end of it. That they actually were doing it wasn't there until later on. The states actually did all naturalization in the state courts, and it was never a federal thing. The federal government only had the obligation to make a uniform rule.
Now, what's the difference between naturalization and immigration? Because there is a difference, right?
Sure, immigration is just the coming to America, if you or coming to a state, and you're there. You're not a participant. You're there under whatever pretense, in the sense of you may be working or living, but you're not a player, if you will. That would be immigration of just coming. Naturalization is when you become a participant, and I like that word because I don't ever look at government as being superior to people. It's just a collective of people that have chosen to live in a certain way. Like in Nevada, prostitution's legal. That community's chosen to live in a certain way. In New Hampshire, we don't do seatbelts and helmets and stuff, so we've chosen to live in a certain way, and therefore that brings a certain group of people there. And we say we don't want these kind of people here, and we want these kind of people. So that's what jurisdictions and communities can do, as the Declaration of Independence says. I mean, when I read these words, it's like it's written for today. I mean,
we actually just read the entire thing on Independence Day on the air.
Think of it as when in the course. I love this. When in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve. I love that word. Dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another. And so I love that the intention there is it's not a fight. We're just dissolving our political bands. Bye-bye.
I've always said that it's and Mark was actually just talking to me about this on one of the breaks about fighting the government. I've always said that I'm not the one who's fighting. I just want to live free. They seem to be the one who are, fighting to retain their legitimacy and their power.
They're an they claim, if you talk to people in the government that will, be honest with you about what it is that their organization does. Their organization is an organization that'll claim a monopoly or at least a cartelized, claim of violence over a given landmass. And you can see that because they give laws and rules on how, people are going to conduct themselves. And if you don't conduct yourself in that way, they'll pick you up and throw you in a cage. And if anybody did that besides them, it'd be called kidnapping. But they operate above the law, as it were.
Exactly. And so therefore, when I look at that kind of scenario, I'm saying we're not really connected very well to people who are pretending or alleging to be our representatives. And if the guy or gal who's in your area saying they're your rep isn't they're not representing you, then you got to find a better rep. Because you want a rep that's going to have your back and say, hey, look, they're violating you here. This is bad. They're like, every rep should be a whistleblower, constantly saying, hey, they're trying to screw you here. I mean, that's what you do if you had a real rep, someone who wanted to make sure that your rights aren't going to be violated.
Well, the nice thing about being here in New Hampshire, and one of the reasons why, and hang on, Christopher Gronsky is with us here. The nice thing about being here in New Hampshire is part of this New Hampshire freedom migration that's been going on for more than a decade. Is that it's actually relatively easy to get people elected here. Just average folks get elected because we have a citizen legislature with 400 members in the state representatives, and it's just a lot easier to do that. So you really do have the ability to connect with these folks. They're much more down to earth. They're not professional politicians. They're not professional attorneys. More coming up here in moments. 855-450 free.
Do you want to help build a better financial system for everyone? Join Dash. Dash is Digital Cash, a digital money platform designed to replace cash and help people manage their own wealth. It's fast and easy, fees are low, and transactions are confirmed instantly. Dash is decentralized, run by users who earn rewards for helping run the network and make governance decisions. Dash is set up to succeed where other platforms have failed. Give it a try at Dash.org. Help people take control over their financial future today. Find out more at Dash.org.
Imagine, if you will, a virtual world, a symbiotic economy with its own currency, where you can barter your services with others. Symbi.com is a marketplace of real people exchanging skills and services, from web developers, marketers, video production specialists, and teachers of all sorts, to gaming consulting or fitness coaching. Symbi.com is a vast world of people trading freely. Take my word for it, it's an adventure you can't afford to miss. Simbi.com.
It's about time something new came along for better selling and buying online. And I found it.
What now, Marge?
It's buysellmakeoffer.com.
Never heard of it.
It's a brand new company. That's why you've never heard of it. It's the newest and best way to sell any products online. I did all the research.
Sell my car?
Yes.
Our home?
Yep.
My golf bag?
Your golf clubs. All of them.
How about your purse collection hoard?
Hey, now.
You said any product.
Right. I did. We get 30 days free.
And membership is only $9.95.
Yep. And buysellmakeoffer.com will never charge item fees, ever. Never. And this is cool. Listen to this. You can even use Skype or video to show your items.
That's cool.
Yes. All we have to do is go to the website, sign up, and then load our stuff to sell. I love this site.
Buysellmakeoffer.com.
Buysellmakeoffer.com. You got it?
Buysellmakeoffer.com.
Buysellmakeoffer.com. Better selling, better buying.
I've been told no in many different ways.
I give you an order and you're going to obey it.
George, you can go this way. You can do that and you have to leave here.
You cannot bring signs into the rally.
Walk with me. Well, I'm comfortable here, actually. Whoa, whoa. Hey. Who do you think you are? Excuse me.
There is no video and audio allowed in this office.
No, I have work today.
You ain't gonna make it.
Wait on account. Now. Wait a minute.
Whoa.
Hey! Oh my God! Unbelievable!
Why are you running from me?
Because you scared me. What am I being detained for?
You're being served.
What is this?
You're being served.
What is this? Bureaucrats have a funny way of telling people no.
That's the sound of the men working on the chain.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up at any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. Dial in toll free and you can bring up anything you want. We'll go to your phone calls about whatever's on your mind. Coming up here in a few moments, but we've got special guest Christopher Gronsky on the line with us from destinationfreedom.org, talking about just sort of generally the ideas of freedom and liberty and the individual and rights, and, you know, what comes first? Is it you or does the government come first? And I agree with Chris that it is the people, it is the individual that comes first. And if you want to participate in these governments, then it should be an option. Chris, and I certainly don't want to put words in your mouth. I appreciate you coming on the show here tonight. You've got a course that you'll allow people to come and learn more about this stuff directly from you. It happens regularly, at least a couple times a month. How often are you doing those?
Well, right now we're doing once a month.
Once a month.
And we started about a year and a half ago doing them once a month online. I used to travel around the country doing live classes, and this has been much easier, and it's been easier for people to participate by doing it online.
Yeah, and then you don't have to leave New Hampshire, because who wants to leave New Hampshire?
Traveling's rough.
Destinationfreedom.org is where you can go to learn more. The next one is coming up on July 15th. And you'll talk in detail about, the Declaration of Independence, state citizenship. And you mentioned earlier changing your status. What's that all about?
Well, we found that if I don't know how many people remember the Browns when they were in their court case.
Ed and Elaine Brown, older couple
Brown, right.
that the IRS went after, and they kind of holed themselves up in their house in Plainfield, New Hampshire, ultimately being arrested after many months, sort of holed up there.
Well, I was in court when the IRS prosecutor had Elaine on the stand, and the prosecutor was using her passport application against her in court and saying because they were saying that they were not, federal citizens, they were state citizens. And so they were saying that the IRS prosecutor had said, let me see if I understand. When traveling abroad, you are U.S. citizens, but when it comes to paying taxes, you're not. Is that the case? And Elaine said that she didn't know that there was a way that you could fill out your application to make any kind of a distinction. Now, back in January of 2001, I was traveling outside of the country and needed a passport. And I had done a passport with an explanatory statement and rejected that 14th Amendment citizen. I'm born in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I'm related to Benjamin Franklin. So, our citizenship predates the 14th Amendment. It's the citizen of the states. And so I had this in my explanatory statement. And the woman at the Passport Center in Boston said, well, I can't say this is the first time I've ever seen this. And she just quickly did that process. And so when I talked to Elaine afterwards and said, yeah, there was a way to do the passport process and to reject that 14th Amendment citizen that the federal government's offering, and to embrace your citizen of your state, which is based in habitation and domicile. And so it was at that time at that table when people began to say, hey, would you help me change that status as well? Now, once again, there's no official status change, and the federal government's not going to say,
the federal government's not going to tell you how to do it.
They're not going to tell you, or they're not going to help you. They're not going to have a conversation about it. Matter of fact, they will say other things. But the thing is, that document is under penalty of perjury. It's what you are saying is true and correct, which is why the IRS prosecutor used Elaine's signature and words against her. So we have a very extensive explanatory statement, and a lot of times people want other things being stated there. Now, that's the place where the federal government is establishing federal citizenship. The DS-11 is for federal citizens. So the oath.
What's the DS-11?
That's the passport application.
Okay.
That's the type of form. It's a DS-11. So that's where you take an oath that you are a citizen of the United States, and I know we have in writing that the State Department defines a citizen of the United States by the 14th Amendment. So that idea is very clear, and so therefore. We have documentation from the State Department that says that if you don't agree with the terms in the oath, then you can provide an explanatory statement, explaining your position, and therefore we do, and have been doing that for years.
And so the idea is, as I understand it, you provide this explanatory statement saying, hey, look, I'm a state citizen of this state, not this federal citizen thing,
right?
And that they will supposedly process that application and attach this document that you've included to their official file. Is that correct?
It is in the file, and the federal government's been iffy on they've been sloppy, I'd say, over the years. But we do a FOIA request or a Freedom of Information request afterwards, so that we can get that entire record certified by the Secretary of the United States.
So you can confirm that they didn't just chuck it in the explanatory
Correct.
statement in the circular file, so to speak, in the garbage.
Right. We work very hard at making sure that documentation stays with the file as true and correct. Otherwise, the passport application is not true and correct under penalty of perjury. And so there's other things with respect to that. So that's a process that I've been helping people with for a number of years. So the class is really designed to give a background of where I come from, what it's about, that sentiment. We spend the morning talking about the state citizen responsibility, just the how government is supposed to serve us, not we it, and just that sentiment. In the afternoon, we spend quite a bit of time. We look at the tax code, their definitions, which shows clearly that the federal citizen is a citizen subject to the jurisdiction thereof. This is how many times the federal government gets in the states, is not because of money they're handing out, but because of a federal citizen is a citizen that's subject matter jurisdiction. So these federal citizens are they fall under Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17, that exclusive authority of the federal government that only has to have rules and such as that. They're not bound to obey the Constitution within their jurisdiction. That would be D.C., Guam, Puerto Rico, Virgin Islands, like that. These federal citizens are in that. And that's why we're violated so often. That's why executive orders, how is it that we can vote in a rep and then he can order us now? It doesn't make sense. But if you realize that the federal citizen is a statutory citizen, and therefore the executive, the president, can order like they would, and any of the employees or any of the government workers, that's how it makes sense, because the federal citizen, many times people feel that it is they conduct that business with the federal citizen like the federal citizen's a corporation. It's treated that way. Their rights aren't being upheld. There's a number of things, and I go into that great detail.
And as long as they don't care enough to get themselves out of that circumstance, then they'll continue to be in this federal citizen circumstance.
That's the idea. But I mean, you had said previously you don't really believe in the sort of the courtroom magic words or anything. But to some extent, that's how the cops and that's how the judges are going to view this stuff, right?
Many times, except for we've seen that was at least some of the clients that I have. They're now. I've never seen our paperwork in court yet, and I'm not hoping that it'll be that way. But I have seen some of my clients have been in court, and they have not been prosecuted because they've made these distinctions, and they don't want to be brought into these. They don't want to create these contracts or agreements when they don't need to. And
now that's not going to stop them from avoiding prosecution for committing a real crime, though. Right?
Well, no, that's a different thing altogether. We're not talking about a civil matter. We're talking a criminal matter, sure. Yeah. And once again, just because we may have a belief, or maybe we're even just because we're right, doesn't mean that some tyrant isn't going to violate you. I mean, that happens every day, all the time. I don't believe in magical paperwork. But until people become knowledgeable and begin to push out and then deal with their government from a rights violation standpoint, I don't see that anything will really change. The idea that
so you're trying to change people's minds first and foremost about how they consider themselves, and that this paperwork is just a way to reinforce that concept.
Well, right. And the other day we did a conference call on Sunday. We do a Sunday conference call at 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And Dan Itza, who is a state rep, he's very interested in the subject matter. He talks about wanting to have a bill in New Hampshire to give people a choice between the state and federal citizen.
That'd be amazing.
That to me will be a huge thing the moment that conversation comes to the table.
Right, because every bill in New Hampshire, and people may not know this, every bill in New Hampshire, all 800 or however many of them there were this year, they all have to have a public hearing, which means that people who are in favor of that proposal, which you and me and others would be able to come out and speak in favor of it, and it would be interesting to see who comes out to speak against it, wouldn't it?
Oh, well, what's interesting is that even in New Hampshire, when talking to Dave Scanlon, the Deputy Secretary of New Hampshire, he always looks at the definition of the United States in many ways, certainly with respect to voting, running for office, and such, as the citizens of the states of the Union. The Attorney General's office, they're always federalizing everything. They're the ones saying, like, oh, no, it's the 14th Amendment.
Yeah, it would be very interesting to give people a choice. And I hope that if you hear more about that, you'll come back and maybe update us on it. And folks who want to learn more from you should go to destinationfreedom.org for more of Christopher Gronsky. And Chris, thanks for coming on and spending so much time with us tonight. I appreciate it.
Thanks so much.
Yep.
All right, take care.
Yes, sir. More coming up here in moments on Free Talk Live. We got time for you with your calls and thoughts. Full 2 more hours to go. You can take control of the airways. Coming up, the latest from the TSA. More failure on the way. It's Free Talk Live.
Bitcoin.com is the most unique online destination in the Bitcoin universe. Buying Bitcoin? Do it here. Want to speak your mind to other Bitcoin users? Our forum is always open and censorship free at forum.bitcoin.com. There's no bigger Bitcoin believers than the Bitcoin.com team. That's why this site is a one-stop shop for everything you need to get into Bitcoin life. You can also play games at games.bitcoin.com. Learn more at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
This is Ed Lukasevic.
And Cindy Lukasevic at Dinovite.
This year, whenever you order a 90-day supply of Dinovite for your dog, we'll send you a free sample of one of the other doggy things we make.
Like Lico Chaps, Super Mega Fish Oil, or Doggo Suds Shampoo.
What's on your dog's wish list?
We'll offer a different freebie each week at Dinovite.com.
Don't you just love the sound of healthy, happy dogs?
Dinovite is nutrition.
Dinovite for life.
DINOVITE.com.
We've all heard about blockchain assets like Dogecoin, Ether, and Ripple. Bitcoin isn't the only player in the blockchain game any longer. And for those of us wondering how to get our hands on these digital assets, finally, there's a solution. Shapeshift.io allows you to buy and sell between your digital assets and Bitcoin instantly between your own digital wallets. I've used it with ease. Shapeshift.io. There's no account or email address needed. You send them the crypto you want to sell. They send back the crypto you want to buy. It's that easy. Shapeshift.io.
Free Talk Live has partnered with Amazon, the largest internet retailer. Imagine a department store category, and Amazon has it. Books, electronics, office products, furniture, jewelry, automotive, toys, clothing, sporting goods, and dozens of other categories. Now you can shop and support Free Talk Live by entering Amazon through our website. Go to shop.freetalklive.com, and Amazon will send us a portion of your purchase. You're going to do the shopping anyway, so remember to enter through our site at shop.freetalklive.com. That's shop.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Saturday, July 8th, 2017. Silver is trading at $15.62 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,213 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at 2.2 cents, and the average price of Bitcoin is $2,515. Antiwar.com reports in a decisive 122-1 vote at the United Nations, a global ban on nuclear weapons was approved, a massively important step towards disarmament made somewhat less impactful by all the current nuclear-armed states boycotting the meetings, which doesn't mean that there aren't major powers signing on to the deal. Brazil was a noteworthy signatory, and both Iran and Saudi Arabia signed on the dotted line, along with Egypt, which appears to dramatically reduce the risk of a nuclear arms race in the Middle East. The sole dissenting vote was also the sole NATO member to even attend the meetings, the Netherlands. They've hosted U.S. nuclear arms in the past and appeared loath to sign on to a deal that would effectively oblige them to stop hosting such deals. Generally speaking, close U.S. allies complied with U.S. wishes and boycotted the conference, meaning states like South Korea did not attend, despite having much to lose in a potential nuclear war. Another conspicuous absentee was Japan, which likely reflects the Abe government's desire to keep cozy relations with the United States, but is likely to be hugely controversial within Japan, the only nation to be a victim of a nuclear attack in a war, and a nation with a long history of nuclear disarmament advocacy. Advocates say that while the lack of nuclear states signing is disappointing, it doesn't necessarily make the deal worthless, noting that a similar ban on landmines was spurned by the U.S. and other landmine-using states, but still led to significant, albeit gradual policy changes which have brought many of those nations into de facto compliance with the treaty.
For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co.
Reuters reports a federal appeals court on Friday rejected Hawaii's request to issue an emergency order blocking parts of Donald Trump's temporary travel ban while the state sought clarification over what groups of people would be barred from travel. The U.S. Supreme Court last month let the ban on travel from 6 Muslim-majority countries go forward with a limited scope, saying it could not apply to anyone with a credible bona fide relationship with a U.S. person or entity. The Trump administration then decided that spouses, parents, children, fiancés, and siblings would be exempt from the ban, while grandparents and other family members traveling from Iran, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, Syria, and Yemen decides how to interpret the Supreme Court's ruling. A 3-judge panel of the 9th U.S. Circuit on Friday rejected that argument and said it did not have jurisdiction to hear the appeal. The 9th U.S. Circuit said the Honolulu judge could issue an injunction against the government in the future if he believed it misapplied the Supreme Court's ruling to a particular person harmed by the travel ban. But the appeals court said the judge did not have the authority to simply clarify the Supreme Court's instructions now. In a statement, Hawaii Attorney General Douglas Chin said he appreciated that the 9th U.S. Circuit made the ruling so quickly and that the state will comply. The Department of Justice declined to comment. Lawyers for the DOJ have argued that its definition of close family hews closely to language found in U.S. immigration law, while Hawaii's Attorney General's office said other parts of immigration law include grandparents in that group. The rollout of the narrowed version of the ban was more subdued last week than in January when Trump first signed a more expansive version of the order that sparked protest and chaos at airports around the country and the world.
You can support FPP Radio by joining the Fans program. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com.
This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
Shortly after beginning his first date with area woman Pauline Geary, smitten local man Brad Holtman told Onion reporters he couldn't believe that the woman was also a fan of the 1960s British rock band, the Beatles.
We were just talking about music, and she mentioned that she liked the Beatles, which is crazy because I love the Beatles, actually. Yeah, funny thing is, I was not really even looking forward to the date. I figured we'd get a drink or whatever, but it's turning out a lot cooler than I thought it was going to. I mean, she's just such a huge fan. She knows all the Beatles names. She even owns some of their albums. I've been a Beatles fan since like 6th or 7th grade, so I don't want to get too excited and jump into something. So I think I'm going to ask her if she's ever seen The Godfather, which is probably my top 5 movies of all time.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live, and you can bring up whatever you want. Our toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 450-3733. We do have Skype as well, and you can Skype in here at Skype username LRN.FM. It's Ian and Mark in the studio tonight as we kick off the second hour of the live Saturday edition. Let's go to your phone calls and thoughts. Then coming up, the latest from the TSA. Yes, once again, the red team, their testing team, is at it and failing.
So, I mean, every organization is going to have some organization to sort of check them. And the red team is the organization that checks the TSA to see how it is that they do.
And they do terribly over and over again every time we hear about these numbers. We can get into it coming up here in moments. But first, let's talk to Brian. He's been waiting patiently, listening to WIBC in Indianapolis. Hello, Brian. Brian in Indianapolis, going once. Brian in Indianapolis going twice. Maybe there's some technical difficulties behind the scenes. We're going to put Brian back on hold, and then you can bring up whatever's on your mind. Our toll-free number, 855-450-3733. So you were explaining the red team.
Yeah, every time, and we've been covering these stories for more than 10 years now.
They don't come very often. Usually it's leaked information that comes out.
They're leaked information.
It's probably because they're embarrassed.
What we've seen up to this point. Now, maybe the TSA is passing with flying colors every single time. Maybe the redheaded stepchild of federal government employees is, doing a bang-up job or whatever. But whenever we get a story, whenever we see a story, and we have reported every single red team story.
I don't know if that's true, but
that we have seen.
That we've seen, okay.
On Free Talk Live.
Gotcha.
And at this point, the best score that the TSA has gotten was 25%.
That meaning that they caught 25% of the bomb parts,
knives, and bombs that they test themselves on.
Yeah.
So, this organization, we've seen numbers as bad as 100%. And that means this organization has failed every time we've been able to check on them. So the press's job is, as the fourth column, is to check and balance the government again, to the people. We are to report your government's failures to you. This organization appears to be a water redistribution organization and nothing else.
Meaning they confiscate your
bottle of water. They take the water, so you have to go buy the $5 one at the newsstand down the way. The best I can tell, they are, and I suppose a federal government employee make-work program. But they do nothing but slow down the whole process. They don't find much of anything.
5% this time.
5% this time.
Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah.
God, they suck so bad. If you work for the TSA, could you please call in and explain to me what is going on there? Why is it that every time we see a red team report that it's always some failing grade? I mean, are these people just super sleuths that are able to hide a Glock 40 off in a lipstick case or something? I mean, exactly what are they doing? How are you missing this stuff?
So once again, this is information from sources. So this isn't a official press release from the TSA, but KMSP Fox 9 is reporting.
You would never want to, the people of the United States are the bosses of the TSA, as per the governing documents.
You tried going and bossing them around down there.
We've read, that I don't believe it for a second. But that's
Sir,
what
get your hands off me.
And you would never want to reveal to your boss that you fail so miserably.
Sure.
So, of course, they don't give us this information.
Right.
I mean, I don't know why we don't get this information. I don't know why the TSA doesn't release this, other than they're miserable at what they do, that they fail over and over again.
It's true. Let's go to your calls and thoughts. I can tell you more about their failures, their most recent 95% fail rate in the Minneapolis airport. First up, though, Dave is in Virginia listening to WNIS. Hello, Dave.
Hey, how you guys doing?
What's on your mind tonight?
Last hour with the guy on there goes around, or I guess he does his seminars now there where you guys are, but dealing with the IRS and income taxes. And you guys pointed out to me, and it just clicked in my head, the 13th Amendment. And at what point can you use that as a defense where they actually confiscate your wages from you just due to the fact that you get up in the morning and go to work?
Yeah, so what you say is that the 13th Amendment says that no one can conscribe you to involuntary servitude.
It's the anti-slavery amendment.
Yeah, it's the anti-slavery amendment. And you're saying that income tax basically, fits under this category. I'd say that you have an iffy claim. That you voluntarily get up and go to work, and that they let you get up and go to work. So therefore, they claim, hey, we're providing services, so you give us some of the work. So you're not in involuntary servitude. You just involuntarily have to give some of the money that you work for. So I don't think it's a 13th Amendment violation, but I got one for you. The United States federal government will give you 1 year in prison if you do not fill out a tax return. Now, millions of people, tens of millions, maybe hundreds of millions of people over 100 million people may not fill out federal income tax reports. But
those people are heroes. Thank you, folks.
That is still a crime as per their documents. So having to fill out the form or go to jail may very well, in my opinion, be involuntary servitude.
You say they provide for me to get up in the morning and go to work. How do they?
Oh, they don't provide. They allow you. I mean, if you chose not to go to work on Monday morning, they wouldn't do anything about it.
They'll mail me a check if I don't go to work.
You're right. Absolutely. Like, this is the mixed up, crazy world we live in. As soon as you stop working, they're immediately going to begin trying to subsidize you.
Exactly. So I still don't see how they can require you to turn over your wages. Like I said, I believe it.
I agree with you. I don't think that they should, but we know all kinds of people, who they've come after for that. I think that the people who don't pay income taxes are heroes. I think that more people should join their ranks and disobey. But the problem is they put the pressure on the business. They put the pressure on the accounting departments and the managements of these companies, especially the corporations, and they say, hey, look, you're going to do our dirty work for us. You're going to take the money out of this person's paycheck. You as the individual, as the employee, may not wish them to, but they're almost always going to do what the federal government says to do because they're scared to death.
Well, the crazy thing is there shouldn't be any dirty work. It should all be based on a sales tax, and because not everybody claims income, but everybody goes and spends their money, and people who make more money, I would imagine, spend more money. So if you want to, level the playing field across the board, and you do pay taxes on fuels and state sales taxes.
I get
everything else.
I certainly don't disagree with you that the sales tax has some what they call the fair tax.
It's more simple,
that
sure.
That has some attractive aspects to it. What I would consider
they just say it would put billions of people out of work because of the industry that's built around the income tax system. And
I'm sure
the
accountants can find new jobs, and the IRS agents can pound salt, as far as I'm concerned.
Thanks, Dave, for the call.
The problem I have with the fair taxes is that first I want to see a new amendment that does away with the income tax before we
completely
even talk. Right, like the income tax needs
not just ratchets it back only for the top 1%, but do away completely.
Destroyed, because what they're going to do if you ratchet it back a little bit, they're just going to ratchet it back forward as time goes by. Then they'll have a sales tax.
When they first
they'll have an income tax, and pretty soon they'll be in it on your property tax. The federal government hasn't found a tax they don't like.
Yeah.
So I find that part disturbing about the fair tax. And secondly, please call me and tell me. The number's 855-450-3733. Call me and tell me the program that the federal government does well. I want to know. I mean, what do they do well?
The old Harry Brown question.
Because that's where we want to give them the money. And the best answer I've got is that the federal government, and frankly any government, can't do as well as the free market anything.
Of course not. I mean, look at these TSA results. It's embarrassing. 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. You could give a monkey a magnetometer and they'd do a better job than 95% failure rate. It's Free Talk Live.
Have you ever thought you'd like to flip houses but didn't know how or where to get the money? Are you ready to be your own boss so you can start living the good life? Hi, I'm Preston Neely. I used to be so broke. I had my electricity turned off 9 times, but I figured out a way to quit my job and find financial freedom in real estate. For a limited time, I want to send you a free copy of my smash hit selling book, How to Get Rich in Real Estate. It shows you how to copy exactly what I did so you can make money from the comfort of your own home without even doing any manual labor. I've already given away 5,000 books and they're going fast. To get one before they're gone, call 1-800-958-9256. Listen, if you're sick and tired of stressing about money, this book could change your life. It's short, fun to read, easy to understand, and awesome. To find out how to get your free book while supplies last, call 1-800-958-9256. Call 1-800-958-9256. 1-800-958-9256.
Have you checked your Google search results lately? Search results are usually the first impression that people form of you or your business, so make sure that they create a positive impression with ReputationDefender.com. What the internet says about you can have a big impact on your life and your livelihood, even if it's not true. Fortunately, you can now control how you look online and in online search results with ReputationDefender.com. Call 800-831-0771 now. That's 800-831-0771 for your free reputation analysis. If you have negative material from an ex-employee, upset patient, or former client, newspaper article, legal issue, social media, or other source showing up in your search results, you can combat it with ReputationDefender.com. Our dedicated experts in patented technology can help make your online search results look their best. Call 800-831-0771 to learn more. 800-831-0771. That's 800-831-0771. Or visit ReputationDefender.com.
Free Press Publications is an independent, alternative media and publishing company founded in June 2009 with the mission of ensuring a free press for the freedom movement and is committed to spreading the message of peace, freedom, love, and liberty. FPP also gives new authors an avenue for publishing freedom-oriented material. FPP brings you daily news and commentary on the website fpp.cc, as well as a daily 5-minute newscast, FPP Radio News, and weekly news, views, and commentary in the FPP Freedom Minute and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio at fppradio.com, and the monthly newspaper FPP News at news.fpp.cc. Find FPP online at fpp.cc. That's fpp.cc, as in Creative Commons.
The 3 most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share 1 episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com. There's no better app for tracking the value of cryptocurrencies than CoinCap. I've had a lot of apps for tracking Bitcoin, but none that's ever been able to track 500 digital assets at once. Their best feature is the Altfolio. I love this thing. You enter how many Bitcoins, Ether, Dash, Doge, or whatever else you have, and it tells you how much your crypto is worth. You can watch yourself get rich. If you have crypto, go right now to coincap.io, or you can use the Apple Store or Google Play to get the app. I love CoinCap. coincap.io.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. Dial on in toll free. Bring up whatever you want. Our number here is 855-450-FREE, like freedom, 855-450-3733. We've got Skype, and the Skype username is LRN.FM. It's Ian and Mark in the studio here tonight, and we do want to let you know about the official wallet of Free Talk Live. It's Jaxx, JAXX.io. Is where you can go and download it for cross-platform. It's whatever you got, pretty much. Your Android or iOS device, they got a Jaxx version for those. They've got Jaxx for Windows, Linux, Macintosh, you can go to jaxx.io. There's also browser plugins for Chrome and Firefox. And Jaxx allows you to store multiple cryptocurrencies, or your access to multiple cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and Ether and Dash and even more. You can go to learn more about it at jaxx.io. It was created by Anthony D'Orio, who is the creator of CryptoKit. And Anthony made it easy to back up your wallet and recover your funds with Jaxx. And they're striving to give you command over your digital life. Coins, contracts, currencies, identity, and more. It's your digital command center in the palm of your hand. It's Jaxx, the official wallet of Free Talk Live at jaxx.io. To the phones, to the fun with your calls and thoughts about whatever you want. More on the way about the TSA's recent and most latest failure. This one in Minneapolis at the airport there with a 95% failure rate on their red team tests. We'll tell you more about that coming up. To the phones with your calls and thoughts. Let's talk to Dave in Indianapolis listening to WIBC. Hello, Dave.
Hello, hippies.
Hey,
Happy
Dave.
Saturday night.
What's on your mind?
You guys, you stir me up so much every time I listen. It's
What now?
Another story. Well, it's another story, this TSA thing, and it was a terrible idea. It's another story about half the country getting some kind of check from the government, whether they work or whether they sit at home and make children they can't feed, and coercing the other half of the country to pay for it. I think it's like hiding an elephant under a Kleenex. It's a not so well hidden conspiracy. But as far as this TSA thing, I would love to leave up the security for each individual flight to the airline.
Yeah.
And what do you guys? Yeah, and I mean, what do you guys think would happen if an airline came out and said, very much in the style of people getting on the plane, or as soon as they're put on the plane, they are kind of induced into sleep. And instead of sitting down, now this sounds nuts, but hear me out. Instead of sitting down, they're loaded in these very comfortable crates onto the plane. We're talking, 4 or 5 hours. And
when I think about the word crate, I don't think about the word comfort.
I can tell you the ladies that go to the store and buy the organic food, they're going to say, "You're going to gas my children?" Right? Like
no. A pod, if you will. Well, here's what I'm saying, though.
Right.
Say the airline set this flight up. I just bet you there would be any number of people that would fill up that flight if they were shown by the airline that thing would be completely secure and safe when they get to their in destination on time. I am wholly in favor of airlines telling people that are dressed funny or are abusive or drunk or overweight, no, for whatever reason, you're not getting on this flight.
Yeah, and if they're passed out, and look, what you're talking about reminds me of the movie The Fifth Element with Bruce Willis.
That's what I was trying to think of that. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So in that movie, which is a great film, by the way, and did you know that they actually re-released it 20 years later this year?
They already?
Yeah, they re-released it to theaters in a limited run in theaters back in May.
You mean the same old movie?
Yeah, that's what a re-release is.
Okay.
So a great movie, sci-fi action with Bruce Willis and Mila Jovovich, where essentially they're getting on an airplane at one point. I won't recap the whole plot. It's great. You should see it if you haven't seen it. But they're getting on an airplane, and it's exactly what you describe. You get into these sort of they're kind of parallel to the floor. I guess pod's a decent word. So you're sort of laying down in it, and then as soon as they get ready for takeoff, everybody somehow they pass them out, and they sleep through the whole thing. That's pretty sweet.
Who does not want
multi-pass?
Who does not want a flying cab? That was the coolest thing ever.
It was such a cool movie. Dave, thanks for the call tonight, man. I appreciate hearing from you.
Again tonight.
Yeah, it's a great movie. You've got that one?
Yes, I have that on Amazon.
Yeah, it's a classic. And did you know that Luc Besson, who's the director of that film, there's another one that he's making, and it's supposed to come out. I think it's supposed to come out sometime this summer. I don't know.
I heard they were making another Fifth Element, redoing it.
No, it looks a lot like it, though. It is a movie called Valerian and the City of 1,000 Planets. According to this, its release date is going to be in about 2 weeks from now. And when you look at the trailer for this movie, it seems like it could be related to The Fifth Element.
Like it's in the same universe or something?
I don't think it has anything to do with it, actually. It's just Luc Besson, same director, and maybe the same art designer. I don't know. But it's got that same kind of feel to it.
So regarding
it's a comic book movie.
Airlines choosing to do their own security. Wouldn't it be interesting to see what the marketplace would come up with as airlines decided how they would do their own security? Like, there might be an airline that says, yeah, you can bring your weapon, but you have to load rubber rounds. Who knows what they would do? It's hard to say. And I can tell you that a plane
Everyone gets issued a knife.
Planes will not depressurize the way you see in movies.
In the movies.
Yeah, it just doesn't
Everybody
happen.
gets sucked out in like an instant.
Right, like an octopus through a pinhole.
They put a little they put a little hole in the hull, and then that explodes open into like a full-on gaping gash, and
that's just something to make
chairs fly out.
Airplane movies more interesting.
Yeah, and it is exciting when that
happens. But depressurization of the cabin doesn't look like that. And the attackers on 9/11. They were able to take airplanes with box cutters. The reason they were able to take airplanes with box cutters is not because Americans are scared of box cutters, but because Americans thought, up to this point, hijacking, it just means we're going to sit on the tarmac in Havana or something for 12 hours and then everybody's going to go home. Because that's generally what had happened up to that point. Then tragedy occurred. And since then, if you've watched the news, some horrifying things have happened to people who were weird or terroristic or all kinds of things on airplanes. I mean,
they've been taken down.
They killed a man in one case, just kind of smothered him to death because he was probably a little psychotic or something. But, I mean, he didn't have a weapon or anything. He was just
crazy.
Crazy. And they killed him. Now, hard for me to feel bad. There's time and a place to act weird, and that wasn't it. But, you're not going to see some kind of hijacking go. The TSA is not protecting you from hijackers.
Clearly.
I mean, the hijackers on 9/11 didn't get Glocks on board. The people that were doing, whether it was Wackin' Hut or, whatever security company was doing security at those airlines, they didn't fail you. The rules said that they could have things like box cutters.
Sure.
And, I mean, it wouldn't have taken too much to wrap magazines around your arms, strip off some shirt and wrap a magazine around your arm and then go after the guy who had a box cutter. Once you can take
what does the magazine do?
The magazine will prevent
you from getting sliced?
The box cutter from cutting you.
I see.
So if you have use it as a shield. I mean, it's a very, you're not going to get cut. The magazine's not going to get cut by a box cutter.
Not significantly, no.
And there's all kinds of videos on how to protect yourself with a rolled-up magazine online.
How about that?
Yeah, you can beat the hell out of somebody with one of those things.
Amazing.
So it's not gonna happen. It's certainly not gonna happen the same way again. And the whole bottle of water thing came from just a scare that happened where somebody was going to do like some chemistry work in the bathroom that would have taken, I think it was 3 hours. So if you're on a flight that's more than 3 hours, then you should be able to bring water. But I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's all ridiculous.
Is 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. You can join us on the radio. This is Free Talk Live's Live Saturday show.
Is that Ellen painting her garage?
Yesterday she was trimming her hedges.
What's her secret?
I heard she was eating this new super berry called the Aronia berry.
Aronia what?
Aronia berries from superberries.com. They're known for having one of the highest levels of antioxidants that helps with overall wellness.
Where can we get them?
Go to superberries.com/radio. And right now we get a free smoothie recipe book with our order. Plus we can save $4 at checkout.
I can't wait. I've got lots of projects I need to get done.
Yes, you do.
Choose health. Eat purple. Superberries.com.
If there's a toxic chemical, biological, gas, smoke emergency while traveling at home or on your job, are you protected? Are you prepared? There are over 400,000 fires in the USA every year. Up to 85% of all deaths in a fire are due to smoke inhalation. 3 minutes without air, and we as humans will die. Be prepared and escape safely with our Safe Escape Smoke Hoods, giving you up to 60 minutes of breathable air protection. Order yours online at ase-safety.com. That's ase-safety.com. And get up to 40% off, plus free shipping.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your AMP will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you AMP Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com.
When you hear the word lobbyist, you probably think about greedy corporations, but not all lobbyists are the same. Some are fighting for the freedoms you hold dear. Liberty Lobby LLC is doing just that in New Hampshire, working hard to represent you, not some special interest group. You can help by going to libertylobby.info, where your contribution will give us the tools we need to ensure that your voice is heard. Visit libertylobby.info today to find out more.
Did you know you can watch Free Talk Live during our live show 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cams at cam.freetalklive.com? Plus, you can chat with other listeners while you watch, all totally free. Now that our live video stream is hosted by YouTube, our video archives will be online even faster. So be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com.
Money, power, and respect are all yours at creditsuccesssecretsrevealed.com. Be seen as an industry leader. You can do it. The last application you filled out when it was time to hit submit, did your nerves spike? You didn't get the approval you seek, but there's a better way. We teach you exactly what to place into the right systems the right way the first time so you get approved. Get up to $100,000 in instant business credit. Many people will get cash on the spot. Use those two tools in your new corporate credit engine so you can walk into the bank and get your project funded today. It's all about today at creditsuccesssecretsrevealed.com. Credit Success Secrets Revealed is explosive and ignites instant results. Dial 1-800-707-8719. That's 1-800-707-8719. 1-800-707-8719. Or just go to creditsuccesssecretsrevealed.com.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
It is Free Talk Live, live Saturday edition of the program. We invite you to join us here on the radio waves, where you can bring up anything that's on your mind, everything from involuntary servitude to The Fifth Element. We were just talking about the great 90s, late 90s action film. So maybe we'll talk about anything here on Free Talk Live. And it's Ian and Mark in the studio with you. If you want to help build a better financial system for everyone, you really ought to join Dash. Dash is Digital Cash, a digital money platform designed to replace cash and help people manage their own wealth. It's fast, private, and easy. Fees are low, and transactions are fast and can even be confirmed instantly. You can pay anyone, anywhere in the world, anytime for just pennies on the dollar. Dash is decentralized, run by users who earn rewards for helping run the network and make governance decisions. Anyone can invest in Dash and earn rewards for helping run the Dash network. And coming up, I think a little bit later on, maybe this weekend or Monday, I'm not sure exactly which day, but I did an interview with Joel Valenzuela, who we've had on as a guest co-host here on this show. He's doing his own podcast now with Dash Force News, as I understand it.
Awesome.
And so he had me on his show. It was actually, I guess, a video cast. And so he had me on, did an interview. We talked about local acceptance of cryptocurrency, because I've got a lot of experience in kind of pitching cryptocurrencies like Dash to local businesses. And we got into a lot of aspects of this. And, of course, why New Hampshire is such a special place for cryptocurrency and, you know, the amazing community that we have here. So that interview is coming. I'm sure you can probably see it at dashforcenews.com sooner rather than later. And I'll certainly put a link up over at freekeen.com when it's available so you can find out about it. So join Dash and help create a better financial system for everyone. You can take back control over your financial future today. Find out more at dash.org. There's a lot of momentum behind Dash right now, so go to dash.org and find out why. As we continue here, we will talk more about the TSA and their latest failure. 95% of red team items were allowed through the TSA checkpoint in Minneapolis-St. Paul International Airport recently. But first, let's go to your calls and thoughts. It's John in Tallahassee.
Hi.
Hello, John.
Yes.
Hey.
Good afternoon. How are you today?
Good. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Yes, I'd like to complain about income taxes and driver's license. For starters, most people don't experience the IRS until they get a job and they fill out a W-4 form.
Mm-hmm.
I am just old enough to remember the title of a W-4 form is Voluntary Income Tax Withholding Allowance. I don't volunteer. And I'm not going to give the Congress or Treasury or the government an allowance to hold my money for free with no interest.
Yes, I understand the voluntary tax is the withholding, that the income tax itself is not voluntary, is sort of the way the government views this.
By the way, the word voluntary, at least at this point, does not appear on the W-4. So maybe at some point in the past it did, but it does not.
Or if they'll describe it as voluntary, what they mean is that you choose to send it in without somebody, standing there with a sword at your throat or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, Article 1, Section 2, Paragraph 3, and Article 1, Section 9, Paragraph 4 of the United States Constitution will explain what income is. But when they tax your wages, that's the principle that you would invest. Your dividends are income. That's taxable. Your wages are principal and are not taxable unless you let them tax you. And if you read the W-4 form carefully, it'll say on there, I'm over 65 or I'm blind or I had no tax liability last year and I expect to incur no tax liability next year. And liability is one of them legalese words, which means lawfully due.
Yeah.
Well, I don't lawfully owe them anything, so I don't. I write exempt, write the year, sign it, date it.
How long have you been doing that, claiming to be exempt?
Since 1985.
Wow. And, okay, so just to be clear, you have paid no money to the federal government via income tax forms or anything like that? Because withholding is different than income tax. So withholding is what you get taken out of your check to be paid against income tax. So are you paying income tax at the end of the year?
No, because I have no liability. I don't lawfully owe them anything.
Good. Now, have they threatened you or tried to levy your bank accounts or anything like that over those years?
Years and years ago, they got $10 out of my Christmas Club account, which I was using to cash my checks. And in 2003, I had a 1099 sent in on me, which is different. And then they filed my return for me and then sent me a bill. It was like I earned $1,000, and they wanted $100. Now they want $787 because I ain't paying them nothing.
Thank you for not saying the rest of the SH word. Appreciate that.
I ain't paying them nothing.
Nothing.
You're a hero. Thank
it's
you.
My understanding that if you're beneath a certain threshold, something like $10,100 for a single person or whatever, that you don't owe them anything.
By their own rules, yeah.
By their own rules.
That's true too. I'm not going to let them hold my money free.
Yeah, for sure, because then they're earning interest on that, no doubt about it. Great thoughts, John. Anything else you want to share with our audience tonight?
Driver's licenses are commerce, and I'm a man traveling, and the United States Constitution protects the man to have freedom of travel without infringement, and licensing, taxes, and licensing, insurances, and registration are for commerce, not for free men traveling.
Okay. Now, this is another interesting area, is the very elite group of people who have the courage to drive around without a government driver's license. Is that one of you? Is that what you're doing? You don't have their permission slip? But
I have my permission slip because I don't want them to steal me. I don't want them kidnapping me and stealing my car.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So it's kind of worth it at this point.
Yeah, no, I understand, because that will happen. Our guy, Jay Noon, I mentioned earlier on the show tonight, and he's been really busy, so he hasn't been able to join us for multiple Wednesdays in a row. But normally on our Wednesday night show, we got Jay on the show with us, and he is one of those people who does not drive with a government driver's license. And yes, he has been pulled over, and he has been put in jail cells over this for short periods of time. So you do have to be willing to weather that particular storm.
His car gets arrested, and you got to pay to get it out too, and it's extortion.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Yeah, and that's the thing with a lot of and you were touching on this, where we were touching on it earlier with our interview with Christopher Gronsky, is that there's a lot of people who they will read the government's statutes, they'll read the ordinances, and they'll pour hours and hours of time into doing research into the legal system, and they'll believe they've got it all figured out. And they may indeed have it all figured out, but the problem is they don't follow their own rules. They're not honorable people, the government goons. They will do whatever it is that they want to do, including breaking their own rules almost all the time, because it's almost, near impossible to consistently and effectively and affordably call them out on breaking all of the rules that they break. So ultimately, sometimes you just got to do what you got to do to get from point A to point B, and I don't blame anybody for that. Thanks, John, for the call tonight. But that said, it is very instructive to listen to people like Jay Noon, who don't drive with a driver's license, and for the most part, he's driving around all the damn time. So
he's a busy driver.
Yeah, I mean, that's what he does. He delivers hay for a living. He's all over the place, all over New England, and even further than that sometimes.
But his vehicles have plates on them.
That's correct. Yeah. That's correct. It is fun to try driving around with a custom plate, which is something that I've done.
That's not what he does.
No, he doesn't do that. But it's interesting to see different approaches, to have people try different things to achieve more freedom in their lifetime. A lot of times it can lead you into a jail cell, but I appreciate those people who are willing to put their freedom on the line for the experiment's sake, to try something out, try something new, try something different. Odds are it's probably not going to work because, again, they just do whatever they want, and they will hurt you if they feel like it.
The government grows. That's what they do.
Yeah.
And if and heroes stand against it, because we have to find out what the rules are. Like, what's the point? Because a driver's license doesn't make one a better driver. Nobody listening to me believes that that little piece of plastic carried around in their pocket makes somebody a better or worse driver. So, I mean, it can be taken away by the state, by people who are bad drivers. That's a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the purpose of it. It's also pretty good for identification. I get that. But, I mean, in what crazy mixed up world do you people think that a 46-year-old male like me needs a piece of plastic to drive?
The toll-free number tonight, if you want to answer that question, you can join us. You can take control of the airwaves and bring up whatever's on your mind. It is the live Saturday edition of Free Talk Live. Our toll-free number, 855-450-FREE, like freedom, 855-450-3733. This is Free Talk Live. More coming up.
Do you want to help build a better financial system for everyone? Join Dash. Dash is Digital Cash, a digital money platform designed to replace cash and help people manage their own wealth. It's fast and easy. Fees are low and transactions are confirmed instantly. Dash is decentralized, run by users who earn rewards for helping run the network and make governance decisions. Help people take control over their financial future today. Find out more at dash.org.
You've said it yourself. We need a healthcare system that focuses on health, not sickness. Health insurance pays for treating sickness but gives you nothing for being healthy. There's a free market healthcare company that gives you freedom from health insurance. They give you a proactive health assessment daily, no charge 24-hour access to doctors. Check them out right now at healthexcellenceselect.com. Any kind of doctor, traditional, integrative, chiropractic, acupuncture, and massage. You'll love the service and price. healthexcellenceselect.com. healthexcellenceselect.com.
It's about time something new came along for better selling and buying online. And I found it.
What now, Marge?
It's buysellmakeoffer.com.
Never heard of it.
It's a brand new company. That's why you've never heard of it. It's the newest and best way to sell any products online. I did all the research.
Sell my car?
Yes.
Our home?
Yep.
My golf bag?
Your golf clubs. All of them.
How about your purse collection hoard?
Hey, now.
You said any product.
Right. I did. We get 30 days free.
And membership is only $9.95.
Yep. And buysellmakeoffer.com will never charge item fees, ever. Never. And this is cool. Listen to this. You can even use Skype or video to show your items.
That's cool.
Yes. All we have to do is go to the website, sign up, and then load our stuff to sell. I love this site.
Buysellmakeoffer.com.
Buysellmakeoffer.com. You got it?
Buysellmakeoffer.com.
Buysellmakeoffer.com. Better selling, better buying.
Understanding your credit score is the first step towards managing and improving it. This is Charlie Sundstrom with your Van Dyke Mortgage Minute. The most influential component of your credit score is your payment history. Almost equally as important is the amount you owe on credit accounts. Also impacting your score, but to a lesser degree, are the length of time you've utilized your credit, the number of new accounts, credit inquiries, and your various types of credit accounts. To help achieve or maintain a healthy credit score, have a system set up to assure your bills are always paid on time. Don't max out your cards. It's better to have a high credit limit with a low balance. Never close old accounts. The age of these can actually help your credit score. But don't be afraid to use your credit. You need several accounts in order to have a credit score. Just keep the corresponding payments within your means. For your mortgage pre-approval and refi needs, start by visiting VanDykeMortgage.com.
Corporate NMLS 3035. Van Dyke Mortgage is an equal housing lender. Charlie Sundstrom, NMLS 134251.
For years, LRN.FM has had a listen line that you can call and listen to LRN.FM anytime. Now we're taking the idea to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on demand line. You can call 641-793-9660 anytime and listen to LRN.FM's live feed, and you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long distance fees may apply. Just dial 641-793-9660 and choose from the menu 641-793-9660.
Imagine, if you will, a virtual world, a symbiotic economy with its own currency, where you can barter your services with others. Symbi.com is a marketplace of real people exchanging skills and services, from web developers, marketers, video production specialists, and teachers of all sorts, to gaming consulting or fitness coaching. Symbi.com is a vast world of people trading freely. Take my word for it, it's an adventure you can't afford to miss. Simbi.com.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air, and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
It's Free Talk Live. Live Saturday edition of the program. You may dial in toll-free and take control of the airwaves. Bring up whatever's on your mind. Our number here, 855-450-FREE. Like freedom, that's 855-450-3733. With you tonight, it's Ian.
And Mark.
We're going to go right back into your calls and thoughts. Do want to let you know that we do have a YouTube channel. You can go to youtube.freetalklive.com, and that'll take you right to our YouTube channel where you can watch the show live, or you can watch it later on. Share it if you like. Do whatever you want over there. You can edit the videos as far as I'm concerned. We don't care about intellectual property, so edit them up. And have come here and they're doing what they can to change the system to try to make it less abusive and, you know, more freedom oriented and less taxation and smaller government. And so if we can get enough people together who are of a like mindset, then maybe then we can have a chance. And I think that we're seeing some real strides in some really good areas here, like decriminalization of cannabis is coming supposedly this year to New Hampshire. The governor has said he's going to sign it.
I'll be darned, yeah.
And we just
There's
got...
more and more states doing that, too.
There sure are. And on top of that, we also got guns in that New Hampshire was always one of the best gun freedom places, but it's now one of the top like 3.
Yeah, constitutional carry.
It's got constitutional carry, which means you don't have to ask the government's permission to concealed carry a weapon. So that's awesome. You add to that, they just legalized firecrackers, which is a kind of a fun one. The Bitcoin protection bill that went through here this year, which was really good news economically. So that was a long time ago, Mark. That was like a decade ago. Yeah. Hey, Richard, thanks for the call tonight. I appreciate hearing from you. If you want to learn,
betcha. You
yes,
guys
sir.
Take care.
You
God
too,
bless.
man. If you want to learn more about New Hampshire and why it really is a destination for freedom, people who care about liberty, you really ought to check out the 101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire. It's an hour-long documentary film that I had the honor of being co-producer for, and it's great. It really just runs through 101 reasons why New Hampshire is right now, today, already the best and most free state of all the 50 states, and it's only going to get better as more liberty-minded people who care about freedom, move here.
It's a destination for the freedom migration. People are coming here for that purpose, and they're getting involved in state government. They're getting involved in media. They're getting involved in all kinds of things.
Sure.
And when people are getting involved, it makes a big difference.
Sure does.
You know, what people are doing for freedom around the country, it's always valuable. But you can amplify that value by being around other people that are doing things. When the ball is beginning to roll here, and everybody else is just banging their head against the ball trying to get it to move.
You mean in their states?
In their states,
where they live. Yeah, and it's frustrating. It's especially frustrating to see those people banging their head up against that wall, that brick wall that is the state, this immobile object that is so difficult, this idea that is so difficult to defeat, so difficult to change people's minds about. But in New Hampshire, I think we've got a good head start because we've got the live free or die mentality up here. That really is a thing here. And the people who live in New Hampshire, the people who've been born and raised here. Because there are some bad people who've moved to New Hampshire, some people who love the state. They love control. They love telling their neighbors how they ought to live. There are those people here just like there are everywhere. But the numbers of people who disagree with them, the numbers of people who love liberty are growing here. And that's causing a real problem for the statists. It's causing a problem for the people who love to have a coercive state, because it's getting more and more difficult for them to put their plans into action. It's getting more difficult. They're getting more opposition year after year. And we're having more and more success. We just had the Libertarian Party in New Hampshire this year. After 20 years, finally, they are back in a major party status in New Hampshire. They now have
three candidates in the House.
Not candidates. They have three sitting state representatives in the state House who flipped. 2 Republicans flipped. 1 Democrat flipped to Libertarian. And they're all young. They're young men in their 20s. So it's really exciting to see that happen here in New Hampshire, which, of course, is the only other state to have ever had any kind of significant amount of Libertarian Party actual members in the state legislature. And the last time it had it was in the late 1990s, until the Republicans and Democrats, of course, passed election reform to make it more difficult for the Libertarians and other third parties to qualify for major party status. But because of I think the general frustration with these Democrats and Republicans, especially at the national level in 2016, I think that generated enough frustration where people said, you know what, I'm going to vote for these Libertarians for the first time ever.
Yeah.
And that helped out. So hopefully we can keep the momentum going here, and as more people come, we're just going to become more successful for freedom in our lifetime. If you want to learn more, again, 101reasonsfilm.com. Go check that out. It's free to watch online, so check it out when you get a chance. Mike is in Ohio. Mike, you're on Free Talk Live.
Thank you, Ian. I'm traveling right now through Kentucky. Hopefully I won't lose you. But here's my situation. My business has labeled some of its employees as working remote. So we now have the option. We don't have to go in the office, and they've actually labeled us as remote. Therefore, I can put my residence as anywhere in the country, okay?
Okay.
I just have to have a valid address, or unless somebody knows about a way to claim residency in a state that you don't have a address in, and I won't have to pay state income tax. Right now, I'm paying state income tax to Ohio and a city here that's really high, and I'm looking to not do that. And if I figured Saturday would be a great time to call. If anyone in Florida, Tennessee, New Hampshire has an address I can use to put on my basically check that is a valid address, then it would be really, really helpful to me. I can Skype chat you and get information if someone sends you some
What's
information.
What's a good place to go to connect with people? Mark, you were mouthing something at me, but I'm terrible at reading lips. So.
Yeah, well, my concern is if there's federal agents listening here that Free Talk Live not be deeply involved in some kind of tax fraud. But I would say that Facebook is the place to start looking for this, because there'll be people.
Facebook's terrible.
Facebook is a place to connect with people.
No, it's not. It's a horrible place to connect with people. It makes it difficult.
You don't have to give telephone numbers and addresses on the air, which is dangerous stuff.
I don't know if I would say this is fraud, Mark. I mean, he's saying he can live anywhere in the country, but he's going to be traveling. So you just have to have an address. If you're a permanent traveler, you have to have an address at which you're receiving mail. How can you say that you live in one place or another if all you're doing is permanently traveling? I mean, that seems to me to be legit. I don't think it'd be that hard to find folks who are willing to help you out. But it obviously it helps to know those people in person. How likely you are to find somebody who's willing to just pony up their address for a complete stranger. I don't know what the likelihood of that is going to be.
Yeah, if there's just a house or a residence no one's using or anything would be helpful, and it would definitely keep some money out of the source of city and stay here.
One option might be to open up a mailbox or something like that in a place. That way you don't have to use somebody's permanent address or home address. Mike, I wish you the best of luck with this. It's an interesting thing, and I bet if you research and ask around, you might find something. More coming up. Free Talk Live.
You have probably heard about Bitcoin and virtual currencies, but you really don't know what to do next.
Maybe you feel like they have already passed you by. Nothing could be further from the truth. Bitcoin is an emerging technology still. It's still in beta and it's sweeping the globe. All the information that you need to learn about Bitcoin is at bitcoin.com. Go to your browser, type in bitcoin.com, choose a wallet program, get Bitcoins, and then spend Bitcoins. Bitcoin.com, the only site you need to know for virtual currencies. Bitcoin.com.
Free Talk Live has partnered with Amazon, the largest internet retailer. Imagine a department store category, and Amazon has it. Books, electronics, office products, furniture, jewelry, automotive, toys, clothing, sporting goods, and dozens of other categories. Now you can shop and support Free Talk Live by entering Amazon through our website. Go to shop.freetalklive.com, and Amazon will send us a portion of your purchase. You're going to do the shopping anyway, so remember to enter through our site at shop.freetalklive.com. That's shop.freetalklive.com.
Hi, this is Mark Edge of Free Talk Live. Michael W. Dean's book, User's Manual for the Human Experience, changed my life. In a culture that attempts to turn you into a compliant victim, this book gives you implementable steps on everything from how to be aware of your environment, walking down the street, to business, to how to handle a toxic person in your life. If you're a human, you need to read this book at least once. Go to Amazon and get the Kindle version, or paperback, or an audiobook of A User's Manual for the Human Experience. The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. You likely buy all kinds of things online. Amazon is the largest online retailer. You can get what you need at the same prices with free Super Saver shipping by going to shop.freetalklive.com. Please do your online shopping at shop.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Saturday, July 8th, 2017. Silver is trading at $15.62 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,213 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at 2.2 cents, and the average price of Bitcoin is $2,515. Antiwar.com reports in a decisive 122-1 vote at the United Nations, a global ban on nuclear weapons was approved, a massively important step towards disarmament made somewhat less impactful by all the current nuclear-armed states boycotting the meetings, which doesn't mean that there aren't major powers signing on to the deal. Brazil was a noteworthy signatory, and both Iran and Saudi Arabia signed on the dotted line, along with Egypt, which appears to dramatically reduce the risk of a nuclear arms race in the Middle East. The sole dissenting vote was also the sole NATO member to even attend the meetings, the Netherlands. They've hosted U.S. nuclear arms in the past and appeared loath to sign on to a deal that would effectively oblige them to stop hosting such deals. Generally speaking, close U.S. allies complied with U.S. wishes and boycotted the conference, meaning states like South Korea did not attend, despite having much to lose in a potential nuclear war. Another conspicuous absentee was Japan, which likely reflects the Abe government's desire to keep cozy relations with the United States, but is likely to be hugely controversial within Japan, the only nation to be a victim of a nuclear attack in a war, and a nation with a long history of nuclear disarmament advocacy. Advocates say that while the lack of nuclear states signing is disappointing, it doesn't necessarily make the deal worthless, noting that a similar ban on landmines was spurned by the U.S. and other landmine-using states, but still led to significant, albeit gradual policy changes which have brought many of those nations into de facto compliance with the treaty.
For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co.
Reuters reports a federal appeals court on Friday rejected Hawaii's request to issue an emergency order blocking parts of Donald Trump's temporary travel ban while the state sought clarification over what groups of people would be barred from travel. The U.S. Supreme Court last month let the ban on travel from 6 Muslim-majority countries go forward with a limited scope, saying it could not apply to anyone with a credible bona fide relationship with a U.S. person or entity. The Trump administration then decided that spouses, parents, children, fiancés, and siblings would be exempt from the ban, while grandparents and other family members traveling from Iran, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, Syria, and Yemen would be barred. Trump said the measure was necessary to prevent attacks. However, opponents, including states and refugee advocacy groups, sued to stop it, disputing its security rationale and saying it discriminated against Muslims. A Honolulu judge this week rejected Hawaii's request to clarify the Supreme Court ruling and narrow the government's implementation of the ban. Hawaii appealed to the 9th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals, saying in a filing on Friday that the appeals court has the power to narrow the travel ban while it decides how to interpret the Supreme Court's ruling. A 3-judge panel of the 9th U.S. Circuit on Friday rejected that argument and said it did not have jurisdiction to hear the appeal. The 9th U.S. Circuit said the Honolulu judge could issue an injunction against the government in the future if he believed it misapplied the Supreme Court's ruling to a particular person harmed by the travel ban. But the appeals court said the judge did not have the authority to simply clarify the Supreme Court's instructions now. In a statement, Hawaii Attorney General Douglas Chin said he appreciated that the 9th U.S. Circuit made the ruling so quickly and that the state will comply. The Department of Justice declined comment. Lawyers for the DOJ have argued that its definition of close family hews closely to language found in U.S. immigration law, while Hawaii's Attorney General's office said other parts of immigration law include grandparents in that group. The rollout of the narrowed version of the ban was more subdued last week than in January when Trump first signed a more expansive version of the order that sparked protest and chaos at airports around the country and the world.
You can support FPP Radio by joining the Fans program. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com.
This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
Every 44 seconds, someone in the United States suffers a heart attack. In 9 out of 10 instances, the heart attack victim will fail to theatrically stumble to the ground and grasp their chest. Don't be a statistic. A heart attack occurs when oxygenated blood is obstructed from flowing properly to the heart muscle and requires victims to act quickly by lurching around with one hand clutching their chest and the other hand reaching out for drapes, blinds, or tablecloths to violently yank out. The first 30 seconds of a heart attack is a critical window. If standing at the time of an attack, move into what is known as the L position by doubling over and grimacing in an unnaturally strained fashion. Use one outstretched hand to grasp for support as you stumble forward, while using the other trembling arm to sweep everything off a table.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It is Free Talk Live. You may dial in toll-free and join us here to take control of the airwaves at 855-450-FREE like freedom, 855-450-3733. With you in studio tonight, it's Ian.
And Mark.
And we do have Skype as well. Our Skype username is LRN.FM. You can take control of the airwaves. You can bring up anything that's on your mind. We just barely started the story in the last hour about the TSA. And the story's coming from Fox 9 KMSP in Minneapolis, where when put to the test, Minneapolis St. Paul International Airport has failed 95% of security tests conducted at the airport last week, according to sources. Last Thursday, what's referred to as the Red Team was in town from Washington, D.C. They posed as regular passengers and attempted to sneak items through security that should be easily caught. In most cases, they succeeded in getting the banned items through. 17 out of 18 attempts by the undercover federal agents saw explosive materials, fake weapons, or drugs passing through TSA screening undetected. Two sources said that the tests were carried out Thursday were eventually stopped after the failure rate reached 95%.
Well, I think once you've ascertained that a particular TSA
this is not working.
Checkpoint or whatever is failing at 95%, or succeeding at 5%. I mean, what's the best way what's the fairest way? As a commentator here, I want to be completely fair to the incompetent boobs that work in the federal government. What is the fairest way to say this? A success rate of 5% or a failure rate of 95%?
I don't know. I don't really have a preference on that. It's both pretty embarrassing.
I could just say, you're fired. Go home. Like, these people are not, and I'm talking, top to bottom.
Yeah.
Top to bottom, they're not doing anything more than was ever being done prior to 9/11. And
they have that fancy machine now.
What's it doing?
It you walk in, you put your hands up, and it buzzes around you.
What happened to the one that gave you the quick... The little
puffer thing?
Air puffer thing.
I never went in
it's
that
all gone.
I don't know. I've almost always opted out.
95% failure rate.
There was only one time when I didn't opt out from that machine, and that was in when I was coming back from Mexico, and we were delayed by customs, and so we were in a super rush because the plane was already late, and I had to go through it. So anyway, here's more from the story. The information was revealed to Fox 9 as the holiday weekend began. A weekend Americans were expected to set travel records. It's not the first time that the TSA has received this sort of failing grade, specifically the Minneapolis TSA, but we've seen other stories about the TSA testing in other places where they fail, overwhelmingly fail. But in April of 2016, sources also said the airport failed 9 out of 12 tests. In 2015, nationwide TSA struggles forced the resignation of then TSA Chief Melvin Caraway. Roughly 2 years later, questions remain under new leadership about how to fix these issues. Wait a minute, Mark. Are these people actually telling us that you can't just change out the head of a bureaucracy and have the entire bureaucratic structure and rules and organization completely change?
Yeah, apparently that's true.
But that's what they would have us believe. Yeah. I mean, they've tried this over the years. Remember after Hurricane Katrina where they changed out the head of FEMA and we were told that, everything's
fix everything.
Right, everything's going to be new now. Everything's going to be refreshed. All of the bureaucrats who've been previously lazy, shiftless losers, they're now going to be on the job. They're going to be on the money. The TSA, we changed out. They changed out the head of the TSA apparently 2 years ago. I didn't even know about that. But they did that, and now they're still failing. So what has really changed?
I think I can speak for the rest of America when I say that that FEMA is a bastion of efficiency and government accountability now. Yeah.
Well, the only thing is we haven't really had a humongous natural disaster to which FEMA has really had a whole lot of attention placed on them. At least not that I can recall. Maybe there have been some in local areas.
There's been some stuff. There's some inefficiencies. I mean, it's the government.
Yes.
They fail their way to success. This isn't the first
Well, they don't have success. But if you mean successfully increased budgets, then yes.
Fail their way to funding. This isn't the first Red Team article we've had. This is about the third or fourth, I believe, the fourth or fifth that we've read on the air. And so far, the most successful they've been is 25%. They found 25% of guns, knives, and bombs that they catch themselves on. Mm-hmm. They'll find your bottle of water.
And remember the terrorists,
you're holding it in your hand.
The terrorists that have a decent amount of staffing, a decent amount of men or women, I guess, on their terrorist squad or cell, all they got to do to get something on the plane is just send multiple people at the checkpoint. So even if they happen to catch one of the terrorists with a knife or a bomb or a gun or whatever, well then, 9 of the other ones got through. So all you got to do is just be willing to throw enough people at these checkpoints, and somebody's going to get through with something.
Well, one thing that's true is that they will shut down an airport, and they go on an increased level of alert if they find somebody who they feel like is really terroristy for whatever reason. Like in L.A., somebody walked into the L.A. airport one time years ago and shot the place up, and then they shut down stuff for a while, and so they went into some security mode. But the TSA didn't stop that from happening. What the TSA does is it bottles people up in a particular area and makes them more likely to get shot or killed. The TSA creates a security risk while they provide no security benefit. This is why, America, we need to do away with this agency. They do the exact opposite of what they're supposed to do.
Right.
This is a government make-work program. It is intended. It is
Thousands
security
standing around.
theater. It is made.
Right.
It is supposed to make you feel better. Have you not heard, America? Have you heard the person standing in the TSA line? It's like, I'd put up with anything, a proctology exam, as long as it makes us a little bit safer. Well, that person isn't paying attention. They don't realize that we're all bottled up right here in this big snaky line, getting ready to get, blown up if that's what somebody wants to do, or shot or whatever. Like the security risk is here, and then these people that are, bellowing out orders, have your shoes off and make sure your belt's around your neck and whatever the hell they're asking you to do, those people are providing us with a 5% success rate finding guns, knives, and bombs.
They don't want you to know. They don't
missing
want you to know that.
17 out of 18 guns, knives, bombs, and drugs that their own team tests them on.
Yep. And that's the way it's been.
And you've got to presume that this red team is more efficient than a terrorist organization, which seems like a stretch because the red team
it's the government.
Is a government agency.
Yeah.
I tend to think that they're probably pretty efficient because they're small, but you got to give the edge every time to a non-governmental agency.
That's a great point. Our toll-free number, if you want to join us here, if you want to defend the TSA, we would love to hear from you. And you don't have to work for the TSA to defend the TSA because, like you said, Mark, there are those people who they have bought this thing, this security theater, hook, line, and sinker. They believe that the more men with badges that they see, the safer that they are. The more searches that they go through, the safer they are. And the reality is, if everybody's disarmed, we're all vulnerable. As you pointed out, people are collecting near these security checkpoints. I'm surprised it hasn't happened yet where someone has set off a bomb at a TSA checkpoint. Because if the goal is to cause terror, you don't have to take a plane down to cause terror. Bombing any kind of an event, Boston, the Boston bombing as a great example, people were quite terrorized as a result in that. In fact, the government then made it worse by terrorizing people further and forcing them to stay in their homes, cowering and, being frightened and having men with, strange men with guns going through the Watertown, Massachusetts neighborhoods, block by block, house by house. You want to talk about terrifying.
Yeah, they locked neighborhoods down.
Right. I mean, I don't want to live in that world. I don't want to live, and that unfortunately is the world that we are in right now, where at the drop of a hat, the government can just decide to tell everybody, what do they call it? Shelter in place, is sort of new speak for, we want you to hide in your homes while we assure you that everything's going to be okay. And our men with guns are going to be trouncing around the streets with Bearcats and armored personnel carriers and, acting like they're doing somebody a favor. When in point of fact, the Boston bombers were caught by an observant individual, not the police. He was the one that was a homeowner who happened to go outside and notice that there was a blood trail going up into that boat.
To his boat. That was the one bomber. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, then I forget how they got the other guy.
I think the other guy shot a cop or something.
Yeah. So it wasn't the cops that found that guy. 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. You can take control. You can bring up whatever you want. This is Free Talk Live.
Warning. If you're drowning in debt you can't afford, do not let the credit card companies trick you into thinking that you have to pay it all back, because you don't. What the credit card companies don't want you to know is that there's actually a way to get debt-free without paying off your entire debt or going bankrupt. If you have $5,000 or more in credit card debt, you now have the right to let us settle that debt for a fraction of what you owe. For free information, call Credit Associates now. 1-800-957-9489. We'll even show you how much money you could save. If you can't afford to pay off all your debt, do not let the credit card companies trick you into thinking that you have to. Call Credit Associates now for free information on how to get debt-free faster than you ever thought possible without debt consolidation or bankruptcy. We depend on your success and offer a guarantee, so there's no risk. For free information, call now. 1-800-957-9489. That's 1-800-957-9489. 1-800-957-9489.
Hi there, I'm Bob Eubanks. As part of Hollywood for a long time, I've seen my fair share of celebrities get in trouble with the IRS. Well, there's one name I trust, the Tax Defense Group. They're the most trusted name in tax. So if you owe more than $10,000 to the IRS, you really need to call my friends at the Tax Defense Group. Ignoring the IRS is not the solution. They can garnish your paycheck, levy your bank accounts, seize your home or business. But the Tax Defense Group could put a stop to all of that and tailor a program that would reduce your tax debt to pennies on the dollar. You gotta love that. So don't just take my word for it. Call them. Find out for yourself. They offer a 100% satisfaction guarantee. And they're open 24 hours a day because they know that tax debt doesn't sleep either.
Call now for your free and confidential tax analysis from the most trusted name in tax. Call 800-361-6907. 800-361-6907.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
My name is Jacob Hornberger. I'm president of the Future of Freedom Foundation, which Congressman Ron Paul awarded for having an outstanding freedom website. Write us at fff@fff.org, and we'll send you a free 3-month subscription to our monthly journal of libertarian essays and our booklet, Economic Liberty in the Constitution, which George Mason University economics professor Walter Williams praised in a recent column. That's fff@fff.org.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip-in on the right side of the page at lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. Dial on in toll free and join us here on the live Saturday edition. Our number is 855-450-FREE, like freedom, 855-450-3733. We were talking about the TSA and their latest failure, which they're not admitting to, but sources have informed Fox in Minneapolis that the Minneapolis-St. Paul International Airport failed 95% of the security tests. They failed to detect 17 out of 18 explosive materials, weapons, or drugs that the TSA's red team attempted to, and successfully, smuggle through the checkpoints there. They decided to shut down the test after they finally reached a 95% failure rate. So they decided, okay, well, this isn't working. And it hasn't been working. The TSA has been miserable at this for a long time. And Mark, as you pointed out, this is security theater. It's designed to get people who are there, the victims of the TSA, the average folks trying to travel from point A to point B, to think that the government's out there protecting them, to think the government is there providing them with some sort of service here of protection, when in reality, they're just disarming anybody who wants to actually be armed on an airplane to help protect themselves and their family from attack, because now if some terrorist gets, a weapon through, there's no way to really defend yourself besides fisticuffs.
Yeah, I mean, it's unlikely that airlines would like the idea of somebody carrying a firearm onto their airplane. I mean, they
seem to be fine with the government goons carrying firearms.
They do. They like it if you're properly licensed and badged.
So fine, let people with concealed carry permits bring conceal on the plane.
They are. I just saw an article recently. Concealed carry permit holders are less likely to commit a crime than the police officer, which is fascinating stuff. I think it's to be charged with a crime than a police officer. Nonetheless, that's a fascinating point. But come on. The TSA doesn't catch the guns, knives, and bombs, as evidenced by this article here. The red team got 17 out of 18 past them. What they do is they make it so people don't want to carry those things. They don't want to get in trouble, so they turn them over, they pack them differently, and that kind of thing. What the TSA is the Federated Water Police. They take people's bottles of water and they throw them in a bucket and then make them go and buy water at an inflated price down at the bookstore.
Let's go to Jack in Maine. He is listening online. Hello, Jack. You're on Free Talk Live.
Hi, guys.
Hey.
You guys have a great platform.
Thanks.
So let's not focus on getting rid of the TSA.
Okay.
Let's focus on getting rid of the parent company, which would be the Patriot Act. We've got to get rid of the source of the evil. And the Patriot Act has destroyed the Fourth Amendment, brings about all kinds of insane, unconstitutional stuff. And you guys have 3 libertarian legislators there in New Hampshire. We ought to be able to get something done, right?
Well, 3 out of 400 isn't a very large percentage.
They could have a party,
but ultimately, the state representatives aren't going to be able to repeal the Patriot Act. So, I mean, state representatives could possibly try to nullify the federal government in some way, maybe by saying
resolution or something.
Well, maybe by saying we don't want to have the TSA here anymore, and we'll provide our own security. In fact, there have been some airports that have gotten rid of the TSA and replaced them with private security. They just have to adhere to the TSA standards. Now, whether that's an improvement or not, I don't know.
It's got to be an improvement if it's not directly federally regulated.
Well, it is regulated. That's the thing. I agree with you. It's probably an improvement because it's privately run security, but they're still following the TSA regulations. So it's like basically a privatized version of the TSA. It's probably a little bit better, but probably still not that great.
Well, nullification works if we make it work.
Yeah, you can see it.
It's up to us to work the nullification angle. It's the absolute last hope that we have. We need to be knowledgeable. We need to know the law, and then we need to make them obey the law, and not
that's
let
the tricky
them
part.
get away with non-law.
Yeah, the nullification's working all over the country right now. Marijuana laws are, in states. States have all kinds of, they're legalizing marijuana for medical and personal use. The federal government's still out there. This stuff's as dangerous as heroin, right? And it's ludicrous. You'd think that with the amount of pot that Obama and the Choom Gang smoked in their youth, that he would have gone ahead and just, on his way out said, you know what? Pardon everybody who's in for pot or whatever.
He did do some pardoning, but it could have been more. That's for sure. Hey, Jack, go ahead.
One of the things that I've suggested.
Yeah.
One of the things that I've suggested for northern Maine, where we have great soil and open land, is that people work together cooperatively and grow hemp, and not allow themselves to be regulated by simply controlling the land, the product, the product that it's manufactured, the value added, and getting it directly to the end user. And so it cuts out the state, it cuts out the regulatory, and you stand on your constitutionally guaranteed rights to life, liberty, and property.
Now, isn't Maine a legal hemp state? Isn't it legal to grow hemp there?
It just is kind of, sort of, maybe yes.
Okay.
It's you got to jump through hoops, and I don't jump hoops real well.
Right.
I jump on hoops and break.
Well, now Maine just passed a law recently that makes them a home rule state, so you could go through your local municipality.
Oh, no. We have always been home rule.
Okay.
Ugh, that's bad.
Well, home rule has its advantages.
Home rule works.
It's the home rule states that have pot legal right now, Ian. Home rule allows change to occur more quickly. Look, New Hampshire changes slowly.
Home rule has to do with the local governments being able to pass laws that are not authorized by the state.
Presque Isle isn't exactly a bastion of evil, okay? I mean, you compare that to...
It's the middle of the woods, by the way.
Yeah, Presque Isle is the woods. I mean, it's
in Maine.
It's a county that's bigger...
that's the center. No, that's the center. I live near the woods. I'm about 20 miles from Presque Isle.
Okay.
Deep in the woods.
Yeah,
I'm amazed you can even talk to us on your phone.
I tried to find roads to drive through just to be able to get out of Presque Isle and couldn't do it. I couldn't find something that was paved out where you are.
Look, all I know is that in New Hampshire, it is not a home rule state, and that keeps a lot of these town governments in line. It means that they can't pass certain things that they're not legally authorized to pass, which means that they cannot grow their government beyond a certain point. Now, that doesn't mean they always follow the rules. Sometimes they'll flagrantly violate the no home rule thing. But for the most part, it does, I think, keep the local governments smaller, as long as the state government is actually trying to keep them in check, as long as the state government is not like Illinois or something like that, where they just will let people do anything. So I think there's some benefit to no home rule.
Question,
yeah.
The home rule question, you have to keep in mind that the home rule cannot supersede the state constitution.
Well, then you don't have home rule in that. Well, I guess I see what you're saying. The state constitution. I see where you're coming from. Hey, Jack,
not
thanks.
Statutes.
Thanks, man. I appreciate hearing from you. Good call. Toll-free number here tonight, 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. If you've got a small government mentality, then home rule is a very good thing. Or excuse me, no home rule is a good thing to have. More coming up.
If there's a toxic chemical, biological, gas, smoke emergency while traveling, at home, or on your job, are you protected? Are you prepared? There are over 400,000 fires in the USA every year. Up to 85% of all deaths in a fire are due to smoke inhalation. 3 minutes without air, and we as humans will die. Be prepared and escape safely with our Safe Escape smoke hoods, giving you up to 60 minutes of breathable air protection. Order yours online at ase-safety.com. That's ase-safety.com. And get up to 40% off, plus free shipping.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Slingbow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of Slingbow, a new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with AgristHosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to AgristHosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's AgristHosting.com.
Radio is the most personal of mediums. I exist right now in your head. If you listen to Free Talk Live regularly, you know me. Free Talk Live is on more than 160 radio stations around the U.S. and has been downloaded on every continent around the world. Hundreds of thousands of listeners with ad packages from $600 a month to $6,000 a month. Imagine what we can do for your business, project, website, or idea. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com. Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that tenth of a calorie it takes to click on something. Facebook.freetalklive.com.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live, the live Saturday edition of the program. You dial on in toll-free here. Take control of the airwaves. Bring up anything that's on your mind. Our number is 855-450. Free like freedom, 855-450-3733. We do have Skype, and Skype username is LRN.FM. Tonight with you, it's Ian.
And Mark.
Of course, you can bring up anything. We're going to go to your phone calls and thoughts. Then the corrupt cop of the lowest order will tell you about a police chief and what he was recently convicted for in a few moments. But let's go to the phones and the fun first. We got Robert in Virginia listening online. Robert, you're on Free Talk Live with Ian and Mark.
Hey, good evening, guys. And Mark, good to see you back again. I know you've been back a little while, but glad to hear you back on the radio there.
Thanks for the well wishes.
The gentleman that called was looking for an address. This is a common issue with full-time RVers. You know, they're driving all over the country, and you know, they need a state. So certainly he's going to want to Google it and get more information on it. But I'm going to tell you that the state of South Dakota and the state of Texas have rules that, gosh, I hate saying that, but anyway, have a way for someone to have an address in one of those two states and be a full-time RVer. They get their mail forwarded to them.
So they have a special carve-out, is what you're saying, in their state statutes to welcome people who are, you know, permanent travelers.
Absolutely. And the other 48 states, of course, you know, want you to register with them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's all about getting their pound of flesh.
Yeah, they do. They love that.
They love that. Hey, and so that's pretty much that on that subject. But I heard you mention just before taking the caller before mine, the situation in Massachusetts when they were looking for the car bomber.
No, the Boston bombers.
Yeah, the Boston bomber, and I still have images, you know, from watching television of people being led from their own home with their hands on top of their heads.
That's correct.
And cops in helmets, you know, they're walking down their sidewalk, and you expect them to walk through a gate, you know, that's got a big sign over top, you know, Arbach macht frei. You know, work makes free. You know the history of that.
Yeah, that's over the concentration camps. Yeah, so you know, having these people stand out in front of their homes with their hands over their heads while the cops went through their house. I mean, you know, this is a clear constitutional violation. And
absolutely,
it's you know,
wait. Are you saying that they didn't get people to consent to these searches?
They may very well have.
No.
Is it not a real consent if a man with a gun is pointing a gun at you and says, "We'd like to look inside your home"? That, you know, they're going to argue that you consented.
They said, come out of your house with your hands on top of your head.
Well, apparently they were just inviting you to come out of their house.
We've heard different stories on this. You know, like
it needs to be butt stroke.
When they do it, they're giving the orders. Afterwards, they say, Oh, no. We were just asking. Everybody who came out voluntarily with their hands over their heads kneeled in their front yards while we threw their whole house, everything over in their house, looking for whatever we felt like. They were doing that voluntarily. They say this over and over again, but one does wonder what voluntary looks like. Is voluntary somebody sitting outside of your house in an armored truck with a turret while four guys come with flak jackets and stormtrooper helmets armed with MP5s and saying, get out of your house? Exactly.
And Mark, the reason they got away with it is because somebody didn't come out of that house with their hands down at their hips, walking as a normal person, and when ordered to put your hands on your head, give them the middle finger.
Yeah, I don't know of anybody who stood up to the police in that instance, and I think it would have been very interesting if somebody had actually, stood up for their rights and said, no, there's no terrorist in here. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Goodbye. Not that you even have any obligation to explain yourself to these goons, but to get it on video, to get a video recording of somebody refusing to allow them to come into their property, what I think have been very, very interesting. I mean, if they lived through the experience, which of course they may not have with these trigger-happy cops, literally pointing guns and sweeping, the second story of these people's homes. It had to have been a terrifying experience to wake up to that or find out that was going on outside.
Well, I retired from the military in a year and a half, and I'll tell you, I would not have come out with my hands over my head. They would have had to take me away, and I would have gone in front of a judge and told him, don't lock me up, teach me a lesson, because it's going to be a waste of your time.
Well, I appreciate that. Now, what if
I'm going to learn nothing?
Yeah, what if and I appreciate where you're coming from there. What if you're you say you're in the military, what if they say to you, Robert, we need you to report there's been a bombing in, Virginia there in, some town, wherever in Virginia, and Norfolk, and we need you to respond. We're going to need you to go door to door and start searching homes and confiscating guns. Can you do that for us? You need to. That's an order. That's an order.
Can't do it. That's against the UCMJ, unless you're in the Coast Guard and are a sworn officer. The Coast Guard has sworn boarding officers. Those are the only people that can take action, if you will, against the general public. But if you're, Army, Navy, Marine Corps, Air Force, sorry, it's an illegal order. Now, if it was given and you say no, you're in for, going through a good bit of trouble, but it's an illegal order.
But you'd be willing to do that. You'd be willing to get carted away in handcuffs to a brig and face, potential prosecution.
Yep. Sure would.
Good for you, man. I appreciate that. I hope that what do you think as far as your co-soldiers? What percentage of them, obviously this is a shot in the dark, just asking you to speculate, what percentage of them would take your side and refuse versus would just go along and do what they were told?
I would say 70% of the people I have met would be as outraged as we are about that.
I hope you're right. I appreciate the insights. Thank you, Robert, for your call
good talking
tonight.
To you.
Not
Thanks
a problem.
For your time.
Anytime. We're here for you 7 nights a week. So even if you don't get the show live on your local radio station all 7 nights a week, we're still here doing this show 7 to 10 at night Eastern time. So those are the times you can call in and interact with us, even if you're not hearing us live. Maybe you're listening to a radio station that, what's they call in the business, delay broadcasts the show, or maybe you're listening on later on via podcast, perhaps, which, by the way, you can subscribe to our podcast over at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's where you get the RSS feeds and the iTunes link and whatever you need to get subscribed to our podcast. It's free, of course, like all of our archives and features on the website. So go to feeds, F-E-E-D-S, feeds.freetalklive.com. It warms my heart a little bit, Mark, to hear people who work for the government's world enforcement apparatus saying that they, in his case at least, would be willing to put his freedom on the line, possibly be thrown in a brig to refuse to follow a bad order to search people's homes or confiscate guns.
All I can remember is back during Katrina, they were doing those, having the National Guard go around and having state police, different state police, just police from all over.
California. Highway Patrol was there.
Yeah, going around to people's houses and confiscating guns. And to some extent, I think they do those sorts of things to see how Americans will react.
It's a test.
Yeah, it's just to see. Because if Americans will put up with it, then they'll continue to do those sorts of things. What happened in Boston? That's a test. That's to see whether Americans will put up with a police state. And they sure did. It was a terrible thing that happened.
They were like cheering America, weren't they, after the Boston bombing? Was it in Boston where they were like partying in the streets over that situation, over the police searching them? Like they were super happy about it.
I can't remember that. Sorry.
Yeah. I don't remember if it was Boston, the Boston bombing, or if it was...
I certainly didn't hear a great outcry on New England radio about it.
The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE, like Freedom, 855-450-3733. And you can take control of the airwaves. You can bring up whatever's on your mind. We've got just a few remaining moments here, but there's enough time for you. If you want to join us now in the live Saturday edition, this is Free Talk Live with Ian and Mark.
Dash is digital cash, a digital currency designed to replace cash and help people manage their own wealth. It's fast and easy. Fees are low, and transactions are confirmed instantly. Pay anyone, anywhere in the world, anytime, for just pennies on the dollar. Dash is the first digital money that's governed by its users. Join Dash and help us build a better financial system for everyone. Find out more at dash.org. That's dash.org.
DVD, books, music, instruments, periodicals, computers, software, electronics, photo, cell phone, office products, home and garden, bed and bath, furniture, kitchen, pet supplies, automotive, hardware, apparel, shoes, jewelry, grocery, healthcare, sports and outdoors, toys, games, used, and more. It's a department store at your fingertips. Shop.freetalklive.com. Get all your shopping done, get a great deal, and a portion of your purchase goes to benefit Free Talk Live when you enter Amazon via shop.freetalklive.com.
Have you racked up more than $10,000 in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by, making minimum payments? You should know the credit card companies are tricking you into thinking there's no way out. Credit card companies would rather you didn't know that there are ways you can become debt-free and you don't have to pay the entire amount you owe. There are debt relief programs that help people like you escape overwhelming credit card debt. National Debt Relief has helped tens of thousands of people just like you reduce more than $500 million of debt. National Debt Relief has helped so many people they're A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. You don't have to declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation loan. You have the right to settle your debt for a mere fraction of what you owe. Reduce a large portion of your debt now. Call National Debt Relief at 800-314-7417. 800-314-7417. That's 800-314-7417.
Fact Zone, I'm Brooke Alvarez. Our top story tonight, Congress has passed a bill naming incomprehensible shouting the official language of the United States.
I'm sick and tired of listening to people who say that Americans should not know what to know, and that's not what it is, what the policy is. The red-blooded American is what we have in this day and age.
Under the new law, public school classes will only be taught in incomprehensible shouting, and government agencies will no longer offer translators to non-shouting speakers. In addition, a new test will be added to the naturalization process, whereby potential immigrants must prove they have a working knowledge of incomprehensible shouting before they're granted citizenship. The movement started in 2008 with a grassroots organization called Americans for Doing It Right, because we got it now, because who else, right? Come on!
This is the Onion News Network, a tomahawk of honesty in the skull of lies.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Boost Kid Essentials Nutritionally Complete Drink, providing your picky eater with essential nutrition and great taste in one drink. Visit us at kidessentials.com. To make sure your kids eat healthy, follow the 5-a-day plan. Serve 3 servings of vegetables and 2 servings of fruit daily. Remember, a serving could just mean a piece of fruit or a half cup of veggies. If your kids are picky eaters, ask a nutritionist about other sources. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. Dial in toll free and bring up whatever you want. Our number here is 855-450 free like freedom, 855-450-3733, and we've got Skype as well. The Skype username is lrn.fm. Moments remain, but there's enough time for you to join us here, whether it's to talk about the TSA or whatever happens to be on your mind. You can join us here. It's Ian and Mark in the studio, and we go to your calls and thoughts, where Sarah is on the line in New Mexico. Sarah, you're on Free Talk Live.
Yes, and I hung up with the Hare Krishna for a while, and then I read some of their books, and there's chapters that talk about people living on the moon.
Oh, we're back to this one again, are we?
There's chapters of the Hare Krishna's books that claim that people live on the moon?
Also, yes. What it is that you have to have many lifetimes of pious activity on planet Earth before you can incarnate in the moon.
Why the hell would you want to do that?
If you read the Norse stuff, the Norse religion stuff, you'll find out that thunder's created by a big bearded man with a hammer.
Well, I know that, but you know what?
You know that, okay.
So you buy that one too, is what you're saying?
No, but you know something? I thought that it was a nonsense too. But
Oh, it's
I want to
nonsense.
go back to that chapter and read it.
Go right ahead.
Wait, hold on. I'm a little lost. Are you saying that the Thor story is nonsense, or that the people on the moon is nonsense?
Well, you know what? All that story mythology is kind of all twisted out of reality. That it's all symbolic.
So's the idea that people are living on the moon.
Yeah, what makes you believe that the Hare Krishnas know something more than the people who believed in the, God of Thunder or whatever?
Well, because it's been... all this has been translated from the ancient Sanskrit from India.
That's not a reason
How
why.
long have people been living on the moon?
Well, it could be maybe 10,000 years, maybe a million years. I mean, for a while.
See, here's what I don't understand. She said, Mark, that you would have to be really pious here on Earth, and then you could sort of move up to the moon, right? That the moon is a leveling up, so to speak, for your soul or whatever. And I just don't understand why anyone would want to go to this arid rock that has, no, I don't know if arid's the right word, but, there's no air there at all.
If God's listening, I'll take my order in paradise to have water.
I mean, there's nothing up there, Sarah. Or wait, you believed, I remember you called us the other, I don't know if it was like a week ago when you called about this, but you have called about this once previously, and you said you believe there are cities on the moon as well.
Right. Conan was on last night, right? And when I talked to him about a year ago, he talked about there's a credulous website with satellite images, photos of the cities on the moon.
No,
And,
Conan. Not even Conan would buy this one. I mean, Conan is into the conspiracy theories, but nobody would. This is the most ridiculous claim I think that you've ever made on the show, and you've made a few of them, but this one is really nuts, Sarah. You have to understand that.
How come, you know what? The thing about it is that, now, do you doubt the Indian Hindu Sanskrit that they had for thousands of years?
Just because something's old doesn't mean it's true.
Right. I don't believe Bronze Age people have really much to do with what we, understanding the world as we live today. I mean, people that thought that, demons inhabited this thing or that
It's
thing.
always the demons.
No, I don't. I mean, we have science to be able to explain most of what's going on. I'm not discounting a spiritual aspect to the human, primate. I think that I think
I
that
agree with you.
We're
Yeah.
into that stuff, and I'm going to go so far as to say I'm a theist. I believe in a god or a group of gods, or I'm not entirely sure what's going on there, but I'm
a panentheist.
I'm down with that. But the whole notion that somebody a long time ago wrote something down,
So therefore it must be true.
in some ancient text, why not go further, read the Epic of Gilgamesh, and realize that the flood was created by a giant blue demon?
It's always the demons.
Well, the flood is actually the sinking of Atlantis.
No, it wasn't. Nope, it wasn't.
But Mark, she read it in a book.
Story about a regional flood that they blew up into a big deal because, well, you can tell children stories and they'll believe them.
Apparently, you can tell Sarah stories and she'll believe
My
them.
son just came back from camp and he told us one of the ghost stories that they told around the fire.
Yeah.
And he wanted to make sure that what was told in the story was accurate, and I, disabused him of that notion.
Oh, he thought
right
it was
away.
true. He thought the ghost story was true.
Of course he did. Some older kids are telling him some stories.
I do believe it. I believe in it. I know you guys think that there's a bunch of rocks and the lunar landing was a truth.
Well, you will believe
You're never
anything.
going to be able to prove it. You won't drive a car, let alone go get in a rocket and go to the moon.
Thanks for the call, Sarah. I appreciate it. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. Like Freedom, 855-450-3733. And yes, you really can call with any kind of crackpot, belief system that you want to. And that's, I got to say, we've been doing this show for a long time, Mark, and we've heard a lot of crazy conspiracy theories here on Free Talk Live. But I guess it's not really a conspiracy theory, but it's a crazy theory. This theory that there are people living on the moon, that's got to be one of the craziest. I mean, that ranks right up there with that you can live by just breathing and never eating or drinking anything.
The breatharians? Yeah. I think people should try that.
No. No, that's bad advice. No, that sounds terrible. You're going to hurt somebody.
They'll figure it out pretty quickly.
Well, yes, indeed.
I mean, take a look at Americans. They're not going to be able to pull this off.
Well, some of them can make it a few days, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, you could make it 3 weeks or so
without food. You got a much less time on water, right?
Yeah, you got about 3 days tops on water. I don't recommend that. That's for sure.
No, it's a terrible idea.
But you probably need to lose a few pounds. So go ahead and try the breatharian stuff.
So anyway, let's talk about camp for a moment here, because your son just got back from his first ever sleepaway camp.
Yes.
And it's a Quaker camp.
It's called Friends Camp. Yeah.
Now, so it was older students or older young people and younger young people, or
they get as many of
counselors,
returning kids to be counselors as they can.
Yeah,
and then they'll bring them in sort of internationally or
really?
nationally to do stuff. And you kind of have to be sort of the hippie bend to want to do this. And
and you're kind of not really, but
I'm not a hippie by any means.
But you're a Quaker.
I am a Quaker. But it's hard to hold a lot against the hippies. I mean, it's not like they are well-meaning folks.
Sure,
right?
They just want world peace.
Yeah, they just want good stuff, and
they want a nice environment.
All right, they're making
nothing wrong with that.
Reasonably healthy food there at the camp. They're certainly not beating the kids with switches. Everything about the camp. He really enjoyed himself, and I was kind of wondering. It was his first time away from his family for any extended period of time, and how he was going to.
He didn't freak out. He didn't cry. You guys didn't get a call on the first night because he was curled up in a ball in the corner wanting mommy and daddy.
We took it worse than he did. Apparently.
Really?
Yeah. Well, we missed.
That's the typical story, right?
Yeah,
where
I think it is.
You send your kid off to camp, you think they're going to have a bad time, and then the parents are the ones that have the worst time because they're so worried or whatever.
Well,
and he ends up having fun.
I'd say we weren't worried. We missed him. As far as worry goes. So
it wasn't a relaxing week of a vacation without the.
It was
sun.
that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you missed him.
Sure.
Now, okay, so at a Quaker camp, and I don't expect you to know all the how the ins and outs of the camp works, but do you happen to know what if a kid's acting out? What is the Quaker punishment, or what's their system for dealing with that?
So they talk to them a lot.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of talking. They try to enough lecturing, and sooner or later the kid gives up.
Has he ever? I'm sorry to interrupt. Has he ever been to a Quaker meeting?
He's been to a Quaker meeting. Sure, he's
the
been
one where
to
people
First
just sit
Day
around
School and that
silently.
Sort of thing. Yeah, usually Quaker
because that doesn't
meetings
seem right for a kid.
Usually Quaker meetings have a brief period of time that the kids can sit either before or after, at the beginning or the end of meeting for worship. And for those that don't know what meeting for worship is, it's basically a bunch of people sitting in a room, not talking. And if they do talk, they're moved by the Spirit to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And, the kids will either be in the first part of the meeting and then taken off to first day school. It's what they call Sunday school because Quakers won't use, old time Quakers didn't use the term Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday because they were pagan words. Thor's Day, Woden's Day, Frigga's Day. When you use these terms, you are talking about pagan gods.
How about that?
They wouldn't use the months either because
they're a fun bunch.
Yeah, the months. Right. Sober was the term that they used to describe them. But nonetheless, they wouldn't use these terms, so they'd be. Yeah. First day was Sunday, and so first day school, they'd take the kids off to first day school after 10 or 15 minutes of trying to sit in silence.
I see. So they get a limited amount,
sniffing and doing all the things.
The kids get a limited amount of the silence.
Yes.
Okay, cool. And so we had
fun. You break him in. And he did have meeting for worship at Quaker Camp. It was short. Yep. And then they had a thing called Vespers. Where How many
people go? Like, how many campers would they have?
There was a bunch of dozens and dozens.
Okay, so maybe 100?
I would say there's probably 100. They were milling around, rope swings. Okay. They were all having a great time.
Sounds like a good camp.
Yeah, kids had a wonderful time. He says he wants to go back for 2 weeks next year.
Awesome. All right, so we'll see you tomorrow night online. In the meantime, we'll tell you about a really bad cop tomorrow night, or whatever you want to talk about, because we'll talk to you then. Online in the meantime, freetalklive.com. Have a great weekend.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippie! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you got to keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadadi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
What do you shop for that you could otherwise buy at Amazon? Pretty much everything, right? Amazon has competitive pricing and they deliver, and that's a big plus. If you could plan ahead in your shopping, would you be interested in saving up to 33%? There's a catch. You have to do your shopping in Bitcoin. But imagine those savings. It's like a huge raise. All you have to do is go to saveitpurse.com. We've saved thousands, and you can too. Plan ahead and save. Saveitpurse.com.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
The latest episode of Off the Air Live is next after the news, here on the Liberty Radio Network, LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Saturday, July 8th, 2017. Silver is trading at $15.62 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,213 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at 2.2 cents, and the average price of Bitcoin is $2,515. Antiwar.com reports in a decisive 122-1 vote at the United Nations, a global ban on nuclear weapons was approved, a massively important step towards disarmament made somewhat less impactful by all the current nuclear-armed states boycotting the meetings, which doesn't mean that there aren't major powers signing on to the deal. Brazil was a noteworthy signatory, and both Iran and Saudi Arabia signed on the dotted line, along with Egypt, which appears to dramatically reduce the risk of a nuclear arms race in the Middle East. The sole dissenting vote was also the sole NATO member to even attend the meetings, the Netherlands. They've hosted U.S. nuclear arms in the past and appeared loath to sign on to a deal that would effectively oblige them to stop hosting such deals. Generally speaking, close U.S. allies complied with U.S. wishes and boycotted the conference, meaning states like South Korea did not attend, despite having much to lose in a potential nuclear war. Another conspicuous absentee was Japan, which likely reflects the Abe government's desire to keep cozy relations with the United States, but is likely to be hugely controversial within Japan, the only nation to be a victim of a nuclear attack in a war, and a nation with a long history of nuclear disarmament advocacy. Advocates say that while the lack of nuclear states signing is disappointing, it doesn't necessarily make the deal worthless, noting that a similar ban on landmines was spurned by the U.S. and other landmine-using states, but still led to significant, albeit gradual, policy changes which have brought many of those nations into de facto compliance with the treaty.
For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co.
Reuters reports a federal appeals court on Friday rejected Hawaii's request to issue an emergency order blocking parts of Donald Trump's temporary travel ban while the state sought clarification over what groups of people would be barred from travel. The U.S. Supreme Court last month let the ban on travel from 6 Muslim-majority countries go forward with a limited scope, saying it could not apply to anyone with a credible bona fide relationship with a U.S. person or entity. The Trump administration then decided that spouses, parents, children, fiancés, and siblings would be exempt from the ban, while grandparents and other family members traveling from Iran, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, Syria, and Yemen would be barred. Trump said the measure was necessary to prevent attacks. However, opponents, including states and refugee advocacy groups, sued to stop it, disputing its security rationale and saying it discriminated against Muslims. A Honolulu judge this week rejected Hawaii's request to clarify the Supreme Court ruling and narrow the government's implementation of the ban. Hawaii appealed to the 9th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals, saying in a filing on Friday that the appeals court has the power to narrow the travel ban while it decides how to interpret the Supreme Court's ruling. A 3-judge panel of the 9th U.S. Circuit on Friday rejected that argument and said it did not have jurisdiction to hear the appeal. The 9th U.S. Circuit said the Honolulu judge could issue an injunction against the government in the future if he believed it misapplied the Supreme Court's ruling to a particular person harmed by the travel ban. But the appeals court said the judge did not have the authority to simply clarify the Supreme Court's instructions now. In a statement, Hawaii Attorney General Douglas Chin said he appreciated that the 9th U.S. Circuit made the ruling so quickly and that the state will comply. The Department of Justice declined comment. Lawyers for the DOJ have argued that its definition of close family hews closely to language found in U.S. immigration law, while Hawaii's Attorney General's office said other parts of immigration law include grandparents in that group. The rollout of the narrowed version of the ban was more subdued last week than in January when Trump first signed a more expansive version of the order that sparked protest and chaos at airports around the country and the world.
You can support FPP Radio by joining the Fans program. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com.
This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
Saying that he was giving his coworkers at Marley Publishing just a few more days to catch on to him, local mentally unstable man Michael Redding told reporters he planned on exhibiting 1 or 2 more warning signs this week before, quote, finally doing this.
I think I'll do just a couple of disconcerting things in front of people here at the office. Maybe give them a day or 2 to take action through the appropriate channels. But if that doesn't happen, then I'm going through with it.
The fully unhinged Redding, who plans on, quote, making this thing happen sometime next week, claims that despite displaying erratic and worrisome behavior around the office for the past few months, his actions have gone completely unreported by his coworkers.
I definitely talked about my frustration with life in general, and I even